What's up, Michael? How are you?
I'm really good. How are you?
Pretty good. All is well. You know me. I keep all my problems to myself.
That's right. Never complain. Stiff upper lip. You're like an Englishman.
You know me. I go with the flow. Look, with the flow. You know.
That's right.
Whichever way the wind blows. That's me, Michael. Don't forget, everyone. Pre-order. Woke up this morning, the definitive oral history of The Sopranos. Wherever you get your books, Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, books online. There's signed books available. The books are in the UK. They're everywhere.
The early reviews are raves. I did an interview yesterday with a journalist from Wall Street Journal, and he absolutely loved this book. He said it moves like a freight train. He said it's a big book, but it reads really fast and it's really entertaining, and he loved it.
Oh, that's great. That's really good. Yeah. 550 pages, 98% of the cast, writers, directors, producers. If you're a Soprano fan, you want this on your shelf, pre-order the book because it's going to go. Book comes out.
Oh, it's going to go.
But pre-order it now.
Yes. Speaking of books, next week we have our dear friend Steven Van Zandt, who is coming out with his own book. It's a memoir, and it's fantastic about his whole life in rock and roll and in show business and in political activism. It's called Unrequited Infatuations. He will be with us next week. This week, we have two fantastic, very special guests. Later in the episode, Alan Taylor, who, besides directing some of the best Soprano episodes, also directed The Many Saints of Newark, and someone who is very special to me. She was born and raised in the Bronx, a very successful actress of both stage and screen, screenwriter as well, and a director. Made her acting debut at age 12 in Harvey Fierstein's Spook House. Ran in 3 New York City marathons. Has appeared in over 75 different films and TV series, including Mad Men, Stranger Things, Hulk, Supergirl, Waterland, Person of Interest. Nominated for an Emmy for her work on Mad Men, and appeared in 7 episodes of The Sopranos as Christopher Moltisanti's wife, Kelli Lombardo Moltisanti. Please welcome my very dear friend, Cara Buono.
Hey, Cara.
Hi.
Good to see you.
Hi, Michael. Hi, Steve.
Hi.
Long time. Good to see you.
Long time. It's so good to see you.
And where were you at? Now, you're working on a new show. Tell me about that a little bit.
I'm down in Savannah, Georgia, and I just started on a show called The Girl from Plainview for Hulu with Elle Fanning and Chloe Sevigny. And it's a mini-series. Yeah.
Tell Chloe I said hello.
I will.
We did Trees Lounge together many moons ago.
Oh, I remember
like
that.
her a lot.
I love that.
Yeah. You look fantastic. Absolutely fantastic, I must say.
Thank you. So do you.
You always did, but you
You never say that to me.
Steve,
wow. It's unrequited. I keep my feelings towards you, close to my vest.
Yeah. Well,
So, Cara, you started acting, what, at 11 years old?
Yeah, so I grew up in the Bronx, and I had done a play before. I'd seen a play. I was kind of bored growing up. I felt like I actually wanted to be an astronaut, and I was really good in science and math, but the school I went to just wasn't very challenging, so I got bored. And I would hang out at this candy store, Owl of Owls, and play pinball, and decided a funny story, actually. So I had 2 brothers, and in my neighborhood, girls would date pretty early, but no one would ask me out because I had 2 brothers, and I really wanted to kiss a boy. And I figured, if you're an actress and there's a scene where they have to kiss you, that's how you get kissed. So I thought that was sort of my initial reason. And then I was like, I'm going to be an actress. And there was a copy of a trade paper there. And I just kind of the guy at the store is like, yeah, look at this. I get this paper, and he made me pay for it. And then I just started reading it and just kind of learned, my parents were not involved at all. I just kind of read about it and would look at auditions and was completely wrong for everything because I had like, Bronx accent. I stuttered, I lisped, I had no clue what I was doing, and just kind of, I don't even know how it all came together, but yeah, I kind of got a job at an open call for an off-Broadway show when I was 12.
But you told your parents, you said, I want to act. Here's the trade papers. They have auditions, and they were okay with it. They took you down there, I'm assuming, right?
No, my dad was a mechanic and my mom worked, and that was the last of 4 kids, and they kind of were like, okay, good luck,
So you went down by yourself, down the city, took the train, and...
Can you imagine that? Like, this was like the late 80s, so it was more latchkey kid kind of thing. And I would go after school, or I would quit. I would leave school. My mom would let me leave school early, and I think the parents were really, a few of the parents who knew thought she was a terrible parent at the time. So I just went on my own. It just basically got home for dinner. It was like head count: 1, 2, 3, 4 kids alive, eating. Okay, get on with things.
So you had a lot of guts, courage.
I had no choice, really. Right? Like, but yeah. So then I auditioned for the play you mentioned. Harvey Fierstein's Spook House as an understudy. And I'd been on like so many open calls by then, and I had no idea what I was doing. And I remember thinking, oh, this is for like a 14-year-old pregnant street punk. And everyone's like, oh, you have a Bronx accent, and you're not, like, you're this, you're that, you're that. And I was like, oh, this is perfect for me, right? And there was an audition at the Equity Lounge. Do you remember that place?
Yeah, I do.
And I went there, and they said, are you equity? And I was like, well, equity means free and equal. I'm like, yes. They're like, where's your card? I said, I don't have a card. They said, you can't get in. And I thought, oh my gosh, they're going to call the police on me, because I was so young. And the woman turned around, I snuck in. And I remember I went in when the door opened. And I remember saying, like, I have a lot of life experience as a punk. I could be pregnant because, girls in my neighborhood get pregnant and crazy stuff. And they said, come back and pick up the sides, which I had no idea what they were talking about. And the next day I went back, I got sides. I sat at like a diner in Midtown. And then there was a joint in the scene, which I'd never smoked pot. And I took a piece of loose leaf and rolled like the longest joint you'd ever seen. And like smoked this long joint in the audition. And I remember them, and it was a serious scene, like we're sort of like crying and like they were laughing. And I was like, why are they laughing at me? This is serious. And then I left, and then a couple days later, I came home from school, and my mom said, you got a call from a casting director, and they offered you this understudy part.
Wow, that's a great story.
Incredible story. It almost sounds like some kind of fantasy made-up movie. It's really... I showed up for rehearsals. I had the whole play memorized. The poor girl who I was understudying, she must have hated me because I was there all the time. And when
did you go on?
No.
No. When did you start taking classes, or did you ever?
Well, then I went to LaGuardia High School.
Oh, okay.
And then I continued doing theater, even though I wasn't supposed to. And then I kind of learned on the job and learned there. LaGuardia
is the famous high school, performing arts high school from the movie Fame.
Yeah, yeah.
So people may know about that, and it's still going strong. I live around the corner from me. Great movie. If you haven't seen Fame, great. The original.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Original Fame is a great movie. Great movie.
It's a really great movie. Yeah. Did you work consistently from 12 through your teen years, or did you just stay in high school and then? I did some like off Broadway. I was always doing a play, even though you were technically not supposed to at school, but I never missed school, so I got away with it. Because I loved doing theater. And then I actually went to college in New York, and I didn't study acting. I got some advice from an agent, actually, who said, learn something else that'll help you be a better actor. So I studied English, Lit, and political science at Columbia. And then I continued doing plays. Like when I was a freshman, I understudied a play at Lincoln Center. So I would go to class from like 9 to 3 and then either go to rehearsal or do a play.
Wow.
What was your first movie?
Oh, my first movie I was in college, and it was Jungle Fever. And I auditioned for Spike Lee. And it was for one of those talking racist heads, that he had.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, I'm going to take this opportunity and talk to Spike about unity. I was like 18, and I went in there and I gave my audition, and I said, I have to talk to you, Spike. You probably won't remember this. And I said, there's so much strife, and this is an important movie, but I don't know. I just want people to get along, in like some idealistic, teenager kind of way. And I started crying in that audition, and I thought, he looked at me like no expression. Then I got it. I got to be one of those, talking heads in the.
Oh, right.
I was so excited, and that was like the best rap party I ever went to.
Yeah, he always threw the best parties.
Yeah.
Still does, I think.
With The Sopranos.
Okay, so that was many years later. I've been like working on and off, and took some time off because I wanted to start writing. And after I graduated from college, it was 2005, I remember, because I had run the New York City Marathon that year. And I remember it really clearly because I had auditioned I saw Juliana on your show, who was amazing. And by the way, I had guest starred on The Good Wife. She's the ultimate, like, number one on the call sheet. She shows up. She's so enthusiastic. She's so nice to everybody. And after doing, like she said, 22 episodes a year for as long as she did.
She's great.
She's awesome. Yeah. She's a great actress and just a good person. Yeah. I really enjoy working with her.
So, Georgianne Walken, the casting director, had brought me in for Juliana's part, which I'm sure she was already had the offer. But how they sometimes audition other people just in case they don't accept it for some reason. And I went in, I remember reading for the role, and I didn't get it. I don't know, whatever. Probably Juliana got it. And then a week later, Georgianne called me back and says, come in, there's another role. I want you to pre-read with me. I said, well, I was just there. She worked with me, and I had just, this is important, I had just run the New York City Marathon the day before the audition for Kelli. I'd run the New York City Marathon. I had broken up with a boyfriend, like a really bad breakup. So I was in a really bad head. I was really sore from the marathon. And I went back to my audition, and it was David Chase, and I don't know who else was in the room. And I walked in. Oh, actually I was waiting in the waiting room, and there were a bunch of Teamsters in there. And the Teamster said to me, I think you're going to get this role. And then this really, really sexy, model-y looking actress walked in. And then he said to me, although she might get it. And I was like, what? Why would you say that to me? Who are you? So I walk in there and I start reading, and David goes, weren't you here last week? And I was like, yeah. And I was kind of like on edge from being in so much pain from the marathon, plus feeling like everyone was against me from my breakup, which, I try never to bring to work. But I said, yes, David, I was here last week. I thought you wanted to see me again, personally. I was like, fuck. Everybody was bothering me. And then, I did the audition. And I think it was a scene where I come in and I say, I'm pregnant, where I just show up and
right.
Good. And then a few days had gone by, and I got a call saying, you're the top choice, but they want to see some people in LA. And I was like, are you kidding me? More of this crap.
You know what I don't understand, though, which is true. Why call you and say, you're the top choice, but we're going to see other people? Why not? Don't even
kind of cruel. Yeah, don't even let me know that.
I know. But then I got the call,
agree.
and I literally fell down in my apartment, crying happy.
Were you a fan of the show?
I was, of course. I was. Although I did stop watching it after Ralphie killed Tracy.
Yeah.
For a little bit, that was a little too much for me.
A little disturbing. But yeah, I couldn't get over the fact
that was quite a lot of people were very disturbed by that, and by the Melfi rape scene.
Yes,
those scenes really struck a bad chord in people, and rightfully so, right?
I definitely hit pause a few times, but always, came back to it.
How was it when you first met Michael on the set?
So the whole week before and the night before, I didn't sleep. I was so nervous. I had the most I was just, my stomach was killing me that morning. I was just in terrible shape. And I came to the set and I first saw Edie and she threw her arms around me and she goes,
Did you know her?
No,
Wow.
I never met her. She threw her arms. She goes, welcome to the family. I've heard such good things about you. And that was it. I mean, and Michael, I remember coming to set. We just got thrown into that scene where I come out of the bathroom and say, you never seen me before. Ever.
You never saw her before. Now she's pregnant.
It's like, I'm pregnant. You're like, who is this person?
Yes.
And you were so nice. You were so welcoming. You put me at ease. And everyone was like that there. It was like, I've never been, it's like a big Italian family where there was like no hierarchy. Like there were no, I've been added to shows before in the past, and some of them have been good and some of them have hard, after casts have been together for so long. And this was hands down my favorite experience.
Yeah. Everyone was great.
Everyone says that. Yeah.
They embraced everyone. And that's how it was. Well, why do you think, and Michael, this for both of you guys, why do you think like Kelli just appeared out of nowhere? That there wasn't even mention of her somewhere? I mean, do you think in the off season, David just decided to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
kind of weird. You just come out of the bathroom, right? Isn't that what we see you?
I come out of the bathroom with a pregnancy stick or something.
That's kind of weird. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't really know. That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I know there was a girlfriend at one point during the whole Mr. and Mrs. John Sacramone request, that the wedding episode. She was only I don't think she even had maybe one line, but they didn't really develop that character. And then I guess they just wanted, the fact that Christopher and Kelli got together and had this kid and bought this house and got married. It really made his story that much more poignant. Like this guy who's really trying to get his life together, and it's just not going to happen for him. It just was not in the cards, on a lot of levels, not just because of Tony, his own personal demons and who he was and his history and stuff. But, so I don't know the answer to that, but what was your approach? I mean, how did you see this character? Did you use somebody from life? What was your head going into it?
I mean, we're all Italian, right? We all have that connection to all these things that the show does talk about, family and, so that was kind of easy for me to plug into. And I just thought like, she needed to be, because everyone loved Adriana, right? I mean, Adriana was just beloved. And I just thought, well, when I come on, are people going to hate me? I mean, I thought I'd really actively think about it. Like, who is she?
But that's a legit
yeah,
thing,
of course.
Sure.
I mean, I'm like pregnant, and then we get everything that she never got. And I just thought I just had to be a way that you could see why, Christopher would love me, that would kind of be different from her. And like, you would see like, maybe we don't see that much between us, but like that there's like a softness and a tenderness and like a real kind of domestic life here, that
stability.
Yeah. And that just makes like what happened so much more tragic, because he did end up, having this like, family American dream kind of thing. So I just try to be, as in terms of working with you, just bringing a real sense of home and intimacy in whatever moments that we had.
Kelli was completely different, right? I mean, Adriana was, though she was a nice person, she was kind of in the life herself. You know what I mean? She loved it. She loved the excitement. She did the whole thing. Really enjoyed the whole shit, the drugs. Kelli was more kind of naive to the whole thing. That's how you played it, which was great. You were naive, and you were an Italian American that was reassuring this guy that was shaky, and you were going to make a nice life for him, And I don't know if I don't know if Christopher was capable of that, or any of these guys are, but
No, I think the allure of the, risks and danger and all of that is too much, especially when you have that group mentality. That's always been my kind of interpretation of it,
Yeah, too much, too late, almost. Like he was just too far kind of in it. When you got hired, was it for like the whole? Did they say you're going to be on the whole season? You're going to be on X amount of episodes, or how was it? Was it the deal? I mean,
when I got hired, it was just to be, because they did that split season, right? Like 6, 7.
Right.
So I think I was hired for only 3 episodes, I think. And then they called and said, "Oh, we're going to make you a series regular." And, as an actor, that's so exciting, awesome. Right? Yeah. That's like, you want to hear that on every show. So that means, you get paid for all the episodes, and maybe there's going to be a big storyline for you. But they have something in mind for you. They just want they want to like own you, right? So
sure.
But I didn't know that when I signed on. They said maybe like 2 to 4 episodes, and that would be it.
So then you go, you've never, since The Sopranos, you've never stopped working, I don't think, have you?
Right. So since The Sopranos, so I always would joke that Alan Taylor was like my personal director, because most of my episodes he directed, funny enough. And then, I've been pretty lucky. And then I met Matt Weiner on Sopranos. So I always felt like I was like the last kid hired, last person, and he was like the most junior writer at the end. So we became friends because of that. Like, we were just so giddy. I was just so giddy to always be part of the show. And then when he was making Mad Men, I was in LA, auditioning for pilots, pilot season, right? Pilot season is when people listening, it's like actors try to get a pilot.
They don't do that anymore.
They don't do that anymore.
Remember the old days, people would, what was it, like in January, February, they would
fly out to LA,
a lot of actors fly out to LA,
yeah.
And you try to get as many auditions as you can, and blah, 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 right? I think now with the shape of things, it's
everything is fluid, and these are like 6 episodes here and there, and with all the streaming. But I ran into him. I was auditioning for something downtown LA, and I saw that they were shooting Mad Men. I was like, "Oh, let me say hi." And I had dyed my hair blonde for a movie, and I hadn't seen him since The Sopranos. And I saw him, and I was like, "Hey," and he didn't recognize me. And I was like, "It's Cara, it's Cara." And he goes, "Oh, I didn't recognize you at all, because he just pictured me as this like dark-haired, Italian girl from The Sopranos." And he was working on the role that I ended up doing. And it was like a fortuitous run-in, because I think had he not seen me looking totally different, I don't think he would have considered me for that role on Mad Men. So. And
you did how many episodes of that? Were you a series regular there?
For 1 season, season 4, yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Now you're a cook. You're a good cook?
I love to cook, yeah.
How you make good meatballs?
I do make good meatballs. You guys make good meatballs, right?
I don't know. Well, Michael's a good cook.
You're not a good cook, Michael.
I'm okay. Right? I'm okay.
Michael's a good cook.
I have a question. Do you put breadcrumbs in your meatballs?
Or sometimes bread.
Yeah, my mother used to do that. My mother used to put bread.
Just kind of torn bread, but I'm vegetarian, so I did make Impossible meatballs. That turned out pretty good. If you make them homemade, you don't cook them too much, but they came out pretty damn good, I have to say.
I want that recipe because my husband's now a vegan. So,
yeah, now, would you know that
they're pretty good? Yeah.
Would I know if I tasted one? Would I know it wasn't meat?
It depends. If they're in sauce, they taste pretty good. You make them small.
You can get also Impossible sausage now that tastes pretty good.
That's pretty good. Yeah. Do you know if I was born a girl, I would have been Cara. My mother wanted to name me Cara if I was a girl.
Really?
Yeah.
That's nice.
There's something to that.
I don't know what there is to that, but that's true. It was either Cara or Michael.
I want to tell you one quick story. Do you remember us going to the Emmys? Do you have time for a second?
Sure. Yeah, please.
But I remember we went to the Emmys, and this was my first Emmys. And remember, it was like in the round that year.
Yeah. I was the last one.
That was the last one. And we were all sitting together. And what I loved about that so much was like, it was really like you were with an Italian family, because there was so much commentary. Like, people would go up for another show and someone would be like, who are they? I've never seen them before. And like the people would be like, shh, be quiet. Stop making da. And then someone would go to the green room and be like, you want any food? You got anything? And people would come back with plates of food and put it under the seats. Like, no one ever does that at award shows.
No.
We broke all protocol.
And I could not stop laughing because there was all this like, peanut gallery talking, but I felt like I was with my family who had never been anywhere before.
We're talking shit about people. We're drinking.
Right there during the show.
Yeah.
All right, Cara, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. It's great to see you.
All the best to you.
Yeah.
You too.
We'll see you.
Take care.
All right.
Cara Buono.
Folks.
Yes. Kelli Moltisanti. Let's take a break. We'll come back with our interview with Alan Taylor.
I'm very happy about our guest today. I like all our guests, but this is an interesting guy with a lot to talk about. And
very important part of The Sopranos. He's directed 9 episodes of The Sopranos, directed episodes of Lost, West Wing, 6 Feet Under, Game of Thrones, Mad Men, many feature films, including Terminator Genesis, Thor: The Dark World, and most excitingly,
the
upcoming Sopranos prequel feature film, The Many Saints of Newark. Nominated for 4 Emmys, winning one for Outstanding Director for the Soprano episode, Kennedy and Heidi. Please welcome the great director and filmmaker, Alan Taylor.
Hey guys.
Hey buddy, how are you?
I was here. I was backstage hearing the introduction, and oh shucks, thank you.
Very well.
Good to see you.
Now you remember you and I met when you were at NYU on a student film that you were the sound man.
Yeah, we used to help everybody, each other out. It was beautiful. You'd be the sound man one day, and then you'd be the PA, and then you'd be the director, and then it was a great introduction.
I think I was like 18, man. I think it was the first time I was ever maybe in a movie. We shot up in the Bronx. The director is a guy named John Christofek, and he lived in the Bronx.
Oh my God, John Christofek. That's right. Yeah.
And he directed and wrote it. It was a short film, and I was the lead, me and this other young actor. And you did sound, boom op or something like that.
Yeah, probably boom op. That makes sense, because I was the TA for sound when I was there, because I had no money. I had to work my way through film school by being a teaching assistant. So I was the teaching assistant for sound, and that story holds up. Yeah, but it was great. My student short that I made probably a couple of years later had John Leguizamo in it, and it was he was already an actor by that point. Already had been in some things. It was amazing being in New York, because you got access to actors like you and like him that you could be in your little student films, because everyone was just trying to be creative.
And is it true that Scorsese was an instructor at the time at NYU, or guest instructor or something? Yeah,
that was a huge. It's funny. I was thinking about talking to you guys, and I realized I was sort of replaying the steps by which I wound up doing what I do, and I realized what a big deal that was. He was not a professor. He had. One reason I went to NYU was because my heroes went to NYU, and Scorsese was one of my heroes. And then I got there, and he wasn't teaching, but he agreed to do one seminar for one semester, and only 8 of us got in. And I got into the class, and we used to do it in his office twice a week. And I wrote a script that was a short, and it was by far the best thing I'd ever written, because I was terrified of him, and I didn't want to, screw up in front of him. So I wrote my short and showed it, did it in his class, and that was it was that short that really launched my career, because it got me my first TV job, my first movie. And
have you seen him since? Have you seen him since?
I see him not infrequently, because my wife, my ex-wife, but we love each other to pieces, frequently works on his movie. She's his favorite makeup artist. So she did The Irishman, and she did most of this stuff. So I'm sure I still see him through that connection occasionally. And yeah, he doesn't seem to have changed.
Was Palookaville your first movie, your first feature?
Yeah,
It's a really good movie, great indie film. I love that movie. It's got a lot of soul and a lot of heart, and really good actors.
I love the actors. We had no money. We were thinking, gee, who can we get this, like Frances McDormand? And we sent it to her, and she said yes. So we got we got Frances McDormand, that we thought was sort of way out of our league. She was a major character in it, but I think we managed to shoot all of her scenes in one incredibly long day or something, is how we made it work. But yeah, that was my first feature, and I got that because the producer had seen my short from NYU. And actually I got Sopranos, not to jump ahead, because David saw Palookaville. And I don't know if he appreciated the filmmaking, but I think he appreciated that it took place in New Jersey, and sort of made him think that I could be trusted in New Jersey.
Now your first episode was in season 1, right?
It was, and I remember it featured Junior, and this was sort of the early episode. Like, I can't remember which one, but it was like probably in the first half of the season. And it was I came out of film school wanting to be a filmmaker and thinking TV was stupid, and they sent me the pilot for Sopranos. And I thought, whoa, I've never seen anything like this before. And so I said, yes, I want to, I'd love to do one. And then I did that one episode, and it was amazing, but I still thought, no, I want to be a filmmaker. So, I want to go write my scripts. So as I recall, I think they offered me a second episode that season, and I said, no, I want to go, make my movies. And that burned my reputation. So I don't think I was invited back for season 2 or season 3. I think I finally, David got over it, and I think he invited me back in season 4 or something. And so then I was there.
He doesn't like when you say no, I don't think.
No, I learned that. Yeah.
I don't think he likes it that much.
Yeah. But I guess he came around or something, because he gave me another shot in season, I think it was 4. And then beyond that, from 5 and 6 and stuff, I really felt more and more at home there.
And listen, and you're doing the prequel. So what you know what I mean? Well, what's bigger than that? That Alan Taylor is directing the movie, the Soprano movie, which is quite incredible. And it's quite an honor. I'm not taking anything away from you, because you're fantastic. But David's had many people to choose from, but he chose you.
Yeah, it's funny. He could have, had a lot of people, and we had a meeting, and he chose me, and I was really, grateful. And the funny thing, the only episode he wanted to talk about was the one that featured Christopher. I don't know if you remember this episode, The Ride.
One of my favorites, yeah.
What's funny, because I thought he might want to talk about Kennedy and Heidi, because, I won an Emmy, and that one was shiny. And that one was also a big deal for your character. But no, he kept talking about The Ride. And I thought back and realized that was probably the episode that got recut the least of anything I'd ever done. So I think that was most of his positive association with me comes from that episode.
That's a really cool episode. That's when Christopher's high, and he's at the feast, and that Fred Neil song "Dolphins" is playing. It's a very.
Is that when I go after Bobby goes after Paulie?
Yes.
Because he bought the cheap ride with the.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Yes. And he endangered your kids because he didn't. Yeah, you got the cheap one. Right.
It's a really great episode, and it's very cinematic. It makes a lot of sense, actually.
Well, it was great because we had a chance to do that, because when you're stoned Christopher's stoned at the fair, there was a chance to sort of get dreamy and get kind of image driven. But I can say nice things about you now, because I think that's the episode where don't you shoot up in the car with one of your druggy pals? Corky something. Yeah. I don't know if you remember, but we were shooting that in the car. We shot his side, and it was pouring down rain like I'd never seen before. It's like a monsoon. We were in some parking lot, and it started to rise around the parking lot. We realized we just by luck were on the highest part of the parking lot, and the water was closing around the car, and apple boxes were floating by. And by the time we got to turn around in your close up, we really only had one chance. And it was so I think we had one take or something. And it was a 3-page essential monologue. And I thought this at the time, and I thought this since, so I'm not just making this up. You did a perfect take, and was listening to it and watching it, and every breath was where it should be, and every flutter of the eyelids was where it should be, and you sort of blew me away. And it was good because I think by the time you were done, the water was probably rising up to the windows on the car, and we had to wrap. But it showed me that you actually know what you're doing.
that day, I knew what I was doing. I think that was the Bada Bing parking lot, wasn't it? Wasn't it the Bada Bing parking lot or something?
I think it was. I think it was close there, but I remember there was a highway because the trucks would go by and they would send up a wake when they went by because the water was so deep.
It flooded like crazy. That was so weird. Yeah, the apple boxes were floating and shit on. I remember that. Yeah, that was amazing.
And so, Alan, you've worked on a bunch of different TV shows. How was The Sopranos? Working on The Sopranos different from those shows? I know. You've got, of course, the writing and stuff, but it's a whole different process, right?
There's so many different ways to talk about it. I think one of the things that struck me most about the show, and one thing that drew me the most to it, and I think one of the things that made it so intriguing for audiences was, and this is more about the quality of the show. It's the most thematically driven show I've ever worked on. It's you're not really there to see what happens this week or to see what happens next. It was like great literature. It was almost entirely theme driven. So just to work at that level of writing was one of the big differences. And one of the other big differences for directors was it was kind of terrifying to do because David Chase was rarely on set, but he is a very strong-willed person who has very strong ideas. So the desire to not screw it up was higher on that show than any show I've ever worked on. And there were these things that these tone meetings that, on every other show, you sit down with the writers before you shoot and you flip through the script and you make jokes and you talk about, what you have in mind. And on that show, it was like a graduate seminar. And I think Tim Van Patten referred to it as defending your life. That's what he called the tone meetings. And you went in and you had the director had to drive the whole thing. Usually it's the writer that drives it, but in that show, the director has to talk his way through the entire script. In fact, I remember my first episode of season 1, I went in, sat down for the tone meeting, and David said, on this show, we like to do something a little different. We like the director to drive the tone meeting. Is that all right with you? And I said, I might need to prepare. And he said, how long do you need? Like 15 minutes? And I said, no, like a day. And so we canceled actually, I think on that occasion, he said, okay, well, this time I'll do it. And he drove the meeting. But next time I went in, I made sure I was prepared.
And for example, what would it be like? What would you be talking through specifically? Like everything, pretty much, right?
Pretty much everything, because you page 1, and what's going on in the scene, what the importance of that is, what we have to pay attention to, what the dangers are of doing it, this way or that way, where you're likely to shoot it, how that sets up something later. I'm sure every director took it differently. I reverted to my academic background and took it like an advanced seminar in Sopranos, and I'm not sure that was necessary, but it was how I handled it.
Sorry, Alan. The casting wise, how much? So you're in every session, every casting session, right? How much say do you have? How much say does David have? How much say does the writer have?
When I was there, no one was going to get cast that David didn't like or approve, but the directors had a big say in terms of who they liked. So I think it was sort of just like a Venn diagram, and it hasn't changed much. The movie I'm doing with him or just finishing with him now, it was very similar. It was no one was going to get cast that David didn't approve. To be fair, no one's going to get past the cast that I didn't approve, but you have to overlap on those two things. Gotcha. And the writers were rarely I guess they were in the casting sessions, but they were very content to defer to David, I think. So it was really just sort of the director and David.
So you had a lot to say on the movie who gets cast.
Yeah, but again, there's no way I'm going to cast somebody.
I understand. No, I understand. Yeah, I mean, it's David's vision. No, I'm well aware of that. I didn't know if it was just like, here, these are the guys, Alan. You make this work.
Did most of them audition for the movie, or was it just mostly offers? How did the casting of the Many Saints?
No, it was very much audition. I mean, from the top down. I guess the only guy who didn't audition, understandably, was Ray Leotardo. But in a sense he did, because this was a really challenging part. And if you see the movie, you'll see exactly why it was so challenging. And I think we both loved him for the part, but we had to be sure. And so we had a lunch with him, David and I and Ray. And it was, I think Ray understood that was essentially an audition, sort of, but it wasn't, he never had to read for us. But everybody else, Alessandro Nivola did an amazing audition, because I think partly because he really wanted to play this part.
He plays Kelli Moltisanti, right? Christopher.
He plays your dad. Yeah. And his audition was very reassuring. And then again, we had lunch with him too, and it's the same thing. And I guess Vera did not have to audition, and a couple of.
I've worked with Vera. She's a champion. She's so good.
She's amazing. I learned some things from her. Yeah. She had to. She straightened me out once.
And of course, Michael Gandolfini, which we're looking forward to seeing him. I know he worked his ass off, so I'm sure
he
that's
did.
Gonna look good.
Yeah, and it was one of the most defining choices, obviously. And I think David and I both knew it was right before we even auditioned him, in a way. But then, so auditioning him was a relief. I think we did a pretty thorough session. We actually made him work. But karmically, it was so strong. And then getting to know him, I just felt so confirmed in it. And then the day before we shot, we went up to dinner, and he stood up at one point and said, "I just want to thank everybody here for giving me a chance to say hello to my dad again and to say goodbye again." And just the whole house was like, not a dry eye in the house. So that there was that connection, but I think you'll be impressed when you see what he does.
I can't wait.
Hey, Alan, tell us, working with Jim, how did you like that? We've talked to Alan Coulter. He told us some stories, and Jim didn't really didn't communicate with him very much until at some point, I guess Jim trusted him enough. What was your experience? I mean, we all were very close friends with Jim, obviously.
Yeah.
What was your experience?
It's funny. It would have been so easy to be intimidated by him, but he never gave me that feeling, which is amazing. I mean, he had his own process. He was working with his drama coach, who he sort of did all the work with.
Yeah.
But he actually, I learned from him too. I mean, I've said this to other people, that when you work with really strong, good actors, they understand and like direction. I mean, at least in my experience. I mean, he owned this character. He was working with a partner to develop the character. He had a tight relationship with David Chase, but even then on set, he would be open to direction. I remember there was a scene between you, Michael, and him, and it was the scene where you guys steal the wine from the bikers.
Yeah. Yeah. That was fun.
And afterwards, you guys, at some point later, you're having a conversation in Vesuvia or some restaurant. So I remember you guys did it, and it just didn't sound right, and it felt like we weren't really where the characters would be at that point. And I went over and talked to both of you, and he said, "Oh yeah, right," and he sort of adjusted. And I think this is a guy who's been doing this character for seasons, and he's a god, and he knows this guy, but he was still very receptive to hearing the director's voice. And what something else he taught me that I learned from working with him was, I remember we did a scene, and I tend to, there's probably a limitation, but I direct in a kind of like detail point way. Like I don't tend to talk about overall motivation of the scene. I'm saying, well, in this moment, and I sort of go for that little thing. I remember going to him and saying, this line or this beat, and I talked about it, and he said, "Oh, okay." And we did the next take, and the entire performance of the whole scene shifted. And in the shifting, he hit that moment the way I wanted to. But it wasn't like he just nailed that little beat for me. It was like he said, "Okay, I get what you're saying," and he did the work to put the character there so that beat would play that way. And that was another sort of learning moment for me.
Did Michael ever give you he ever give you an attitude? Because he's kind of shitty to me a lot.
I think that's just to you. I think it's just to you.
Because he acts like he's a fucking nice guy, Alan, but then he has this moments where he's a prick. Did he do that to you?
No, you guys are like a married couple. You see the other side of him that nobody else sees.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm like an abused spouse.
Abusive husband.
Abused.
Right,
He's
okay.
the abuser.
Do you have a favorite episode you directed, Alan?
I have really fond feelings about Kennedy and Heidi for obvious reasons.
What was that one about? I forget.
Oh, some character got whacked.
I died in that episode. Christopher dies in that episode. You forgot that conveniently.
I know that we did the one with the rapper. I think you directed that one with we had the rapper Fabulous or Treach and
that you shoot
the shoot with the fleshy part of the thigh.
Oh, the fleshy part of the thigh. That goes way back. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But no, I mean the reason I think the reason I have to be on your show is because I killed both you guys. I whacked Michael, or at least I was there when Tony whacked Christopher, and I was there when you got shot up in the train store.
Oh, you did the Blue Comet?
You did Blue Comet?
Yes, he did.
I fucking forgot. You did Blue Comet.
They always forget the directors. I had to do it because I was the biggest train nerd when I was a young teenager. I was a model train geek.
I did that in Long Island. In Long Island, that was it came out so great. I mean, that was listen. We've talked about it. People started the way they killed you off. We had as a badge of honor, and that was a great way they killed off my character. I mean,
that was fun. It was funny. It was rare for the show too because and I was surprised David went for it. But the sort of the you make meal out of it. Like the trains like coming out of the broken track, and
we shot
down
that
on top of the.
We shot that on Valentine's Day, 2007, and it was snowing.
Where was it?
In Long Island, Trainland.
It was a real train store.
Yeah, 14th and the 15th.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, you got a better memory.
I forgot that. I forgot that you did that. Well, you're low key, Alan. You keep a low profile. I know that I was your favorite actor, and you don't have to have to tell me.
You were not anymore. Now that you forgot he directed.
Listen, he gets a little twatty, Michael, but it's okay. I know, it's okay.
But yeah, I think much as I love Blue Comet, I think Kennedy and Heidi was probably my favorite, partly because I got to do that scene with you finishing your character, Michael. But also, we went crazy places. We went to Vegas at the end. That's when Tony has his, I get it moment.
Yeah.
And it was one of the most amazing things for me was that we shot that out of order for once, because usually we shot everything together. But because it was in Vegas, that was put at the end of the schedule. So the entire series was done. And we flew out to Vegas and stayed at Caesar's Palace. And all these magical things happened. Like I remember between takes, Jim was playing the roulette wheel in Caesar's Palace. I came over to give him a note about the scene we were about to do, and he gave me some chips, and I put them down on my daughter's birthday and talked to him a bit, and I won like $400.
Wow!
And then I said, "Oh, that's amazing!" And so I talked to him some more, and I put it on my other daughter's birthday, and I won again. And then I went back to work. So there was that magical thing, but also at the very end, we did the last shot of Jim. I think he was sitting in a lawn chair by the pool, and I said, "Okay, we got it." He said, "Do you have it?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Are you sure you have it?" Because this was literally the last shot he was going to have to do as Tony Soprano. And I said, "Yes." And he picked me up and threw me into the swimming pool. And it was it was such a great way to end. Of course, David Chase being David Chase, they all went back and he had to do like reshoots in Melfi's office or something. Yeah. So he wasn't quite liberated yet, but it was a great way for me to finish.
Do you remember when we shot the Kennedy and Heidi, the stunt man who flipped the car? That was one of the craziest stunts I've ever seen.
It was amazing and again, it was like a one-take wonder because Alex Sakharov was the DP. Remember him? Great DP. Who's now become a director.
We like Alex.
We had at least 5 cameras on it, and some of them were positions where it really had to land in a certain spot. And this is an SUV going 40 miles an hour that has to pitch and roll and go down an embankment and land in a forest. And the way they were doing it was they had a standard operating procedure, but it's pretty amazing. They have a cannon in the back and it fires a telephone pole, into the ground, and that's what kicks the vehicle up. So he's there in a cage, and he takes his hands off the wheel and just goes like this and hits the button, and that blows it up. And he nailed it. He landed right where it was supposed to. Flew past every camera right where it was supposed to. Wow. And at the end, it was—I don't know if you remember—it was settling. There's like a moment where you think, "Okay, that was great, but did we kill somebody?" And then his hand came up out of the window, and
I'll never forget that.
Thumbs up. Yeah.
How many times did it flip the car? Like 4, right?
I think it must have flipped yeah, probably 4 times, and then with cutting, it made it look like even more. I think because we multiplied a few of those cuts, but. Yeah, one take. I killed you both. It's great to see you both looking so good.
We're going strong.
All right.
We may kill each other before this is over, but so far so good. See you later.
Bye.
All right, man. That's a good guy and a great director. Let's take a break and get to the episode. All right, today, season 6, episode 11, brother.
Episode 11. We have one more episode in season 6, and then we move into the back 9.
And the title, Cold Stones, it aired May 21st, 2006. Do you remember what you were doing that day, Michael?
No. You?
I barely remember what I was doing yesterday.
Yeah. No, I don't. Cold Stones, I think, refers to the ruins and statues and old buildings that Carmela visits in France, in Paris. It can also refer to AJ doing construction in the wintertime, lifting, and also maybe Phil Leotardo. I mentioned the fucking balls on that prick, him being kind of this cold-hearted, whatever, murderer.
Now, they say during the shoot in the Paris portion, Edie Falco had the flu, and she had a tough time, and they had to come back, and a lot of the lines had to be replaced.
Oh, really?
Post-production, when she got back here in the United States, she had to loop a lot of it.
Oh.
Because her voice was shot, and they went over there. Now, do you think they went to Paris? I know David used to have a house there, and he loved it there. You think he went for a vacation?
David had a house in, I think, near Toulouse, if I'm not mistaken. Loves Paris, loves France. I think maybe part of it was that. I actually went to Paris with David and with Jim and Lorraine, I think Edie and Dominic.
Do you enjoy Paris? You like Paris?
I love it to death. It's amazing. We did a press junket in London, and then we took the train that goes under the channel, whatever that is, over the English Channel into Paris. And
You like the food? You like French food?
I do. I just like the city. I like the lifestyle. I've been to a couple not many other places outside of Paris. Lille. My book, The Perfume Burned His Eyes, came out in French. My publisher there is Autrement, and we had some events there when the book came out, and it was great, a really great time. I think my book did better in France than it did here. It was, really well reviewed there, and they have a real love and respect for, especially novelists and fiction writers.
So before we get into this episode, Michael, we are going to be February 12th, 2022 in Staten Island, New York. We're going over the Verrazano Bridge, or as they call it, the Guinea Gangplank. And
Is that what they call it?
That's what they call it. We'll be heading over to Staten, Italy, and which is a great place, great restaurants, great people, a lot of people I grew up with.
That's going to be fun. That's going to be a fun show, a fun audience and a fun show.
George Theater.
Yeah.
Not far from the ferry. February 12th. Tickets go on sale on September 7th.
We're going to take the ferry to get there, Steve.
That's how we're going to do it.
That's part of the show. That's part of the deal.
You and Vinny, September 7th, go on sale Ticketmaster or the St. George Theater box office.
That's Steve, myself, and Vincent Pastore doing Conversations with the Sopranos. So we'll be interviewed by our friend Joey Cola, who's a comedian, very funny. We'll tell some stories. We got a lot of backstage, behind the scenes stuff that nobody's ever heard. And
we
then
do a Q&A with the audience.
If you're in the audience, you can ask us whatever you want. Whatever you want, no holds barred, right, Steve?
No holds barred.
We've never declined to answer a question.
No. If you ask a soprano anything. So it's September 7th, and the show is February 12th, 2022, St. George Theater in Staten Island, New York. So tickets are going to go really fast. So please join us there. All right. Soprano House. Carmela talks with AJ. Tony arrives. Carmela says, I went to Blockbuster today to rent Cinderella Man. Good movie. And
What is that movie? I don't remember that.
It's, what's it? Well, I think there's an original.
Cinderfella?
No,
That was Jerry Lewis. That's a good
Cinderella
movie.
Man about the boxer.
Have you seen Cinderfella?
I did years ago. I don't remember.
That's a good movie. So who is Cinderella Man?
Well, Russell Crowe was one. You know, he played Cinderella Man. It's about a fighter.
Oh, okay.
Jack Johnson. I don't know. Andy could tell us the right name, but it's a really good movie. I saw it years ago. Old-time movie, old-time boxer, the beginning days of boxing. She says, I found out that our son, the liar, had been fired 3 weeks ago from Blockbuster. Tony goes crazy. They got Reese's Monkeys working as managers over there.
Which is not true. They never had Reese's Monkeys.
He was taking promotional items and selling them posters, stand-ups. He corrects her. The whole thing is bullshit. They were throwing the stuff in the garbage. I took it. I was selling it.
Wallace
Do you have any idea what a decent club in New York? It's $500 for a bottle of Cristal.
And it's a 2-bottle minimum. And he's admitting to have paid for some of those bottles, which is absolutely ridiculous. He mentions a standees. Wallace and Gromit was British stop-motion animation by Nick Park, A Grand Day Out, Curse of the Were-Rabbit. Very good stuff, actually. I like Wallace and Gromit.
And he's talking gibberish, the environment. You told me to think like a businessman, blah, 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 blah.
But a lot of kids do this. Now, it's not, when you're going through it, it's hard, but this is very common at that.
$500 for a bottle of Cristal?
No, I don't mean that. I mean kids going through this kind of drifting. They don't want to work. They're not in school. They're in between. No, I never did that at 18 years old, however old he is, 19, 20.
Well, but it's a lot of kids drift. They got to find themselves, and I get that.
But he's spoiled, yeah.
He's a spoiled fucking brat.
Spoiled brat, 100%.
And then when his father walks away, he gives him the finger.
And Tony comes home and says, can I come home to a peaceful house one goddamn night? Because he's always, Tony there's no rest for the weary. There's always something going in. He said he complains that Blockbuster were religious fanatics. He's making excuses. They talk about Hernan, who crippled a girl in an accident. He says it was a cash grab, a payday, because they knew Hernan's parents are rich. He's looking for a job online. It's all bullshit.
All bullshit. And Tony tells him, you should be kissing your mother's feet. I would have knocked your baby teeth out years ago. When Tony walks away, AJ gives him the finger. AJ is a spoiled fucking brat.
Yeah, no doubt.
Next, we're in the Soprano bedroom. Tony's sleeping. Carmela turns the light on. It's not only that he's a complete stranger to the truth, not unlike his father. Right. He's got the dead streak in him. It chills me to the bone, like his father.
True, like his grandmother, too.
Correct. He's fucking spoiled, that's all. We gave him too much. Carmela says, that's not true. A lot of privileged kids went to Ivy League schools. It's a big fuck you to everybody. AJ, and which is true. Tony wants to sleep. He don't want to listen to this. This is not the right time to be having this conversation. It's 1:30 in the morning. Meadow comes in, says she's going to go to California. I thought they were breaking up is right. Don't you remember last episode?
And now she's following him out there because he's in dental school. Tony's trying to sleep. It's 1:30 in the morning. He doesn't want to deal with it. And she says, well, you're coming home from Christmas. She says she doesn't know. And Carmela's shocked at that answer.
Yeah. I want to go. I don't know if I want to go to law school or med school. And Carmela says, well, those are first class problems, right?
Yeah, and Edie's really good in that moment, I have to say. I loved how she she just shows that shock, this kind of shock that she's entertaining the idea of not being home for Christmas. These things, I guess, mean so much.
And she's not home, and she says, you're following this man to California, which is exactly what she's doing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Meadow has a tough time with guys, like I said. I don't get it.
She does.
It's too needy.
Maybe. Too needy is not.
Turnoff. Isn't it turnoff if broad breaks your ball?
Yeah, sure.
Especially now they can constantly text you. Back when we were young, you didn't have that.
And if you don't text back right away.
Yeah, where are you? Where you been? Where you going? Where are you now? It's like too much. It's like, oh.
No,
cell phones, they call it. I called you 6 times. You didn't pick up the phone.
Horrible.
You have a hard time cheating these days. What the fuck is the world coming to?
Well, we know what it's come to.
Costco.
Clifton, New Jersey. That's a Costco in Clifton.
Costco, you won't be caught dead in Costco, right?
No, I just don't have one anywhere near where I live, Steve. So should I go out of the way like miles to go to some, big box store? I don't give a shit. I go to Pioneer. I live, a block away, and I go there and buy my groceries.
I don't think it's that. I think
Costco's for the suburbs.
I don't think there's one in New York City. There's one in Harlem. There's one in the Bronx.
I'm going to go grocery store like 5 miles from my house.
You don't have to go grocery. You buy things. It's beneath you. That's what it is.
Not beneath me. I mean,
you don't like showing your card. You would never pull out your card.
What card?
You have a Costco card. You have to show to get in. You would go, you don't know who the fuck I am? I got to show you ID?
I don't show anybody ID.
There you go. That's all. That's it.
Someday you'll get to that point where you won't need it.
Say no more. Tony and Silvio meet with Phil and Jerry.
Phil and Jerry, Jerry played by John Bianco. Phil now has a hair up his ass. First for his brother, now it's for Vito, and now he's saying you're not going to get these 5 no-show jobs, and he's holding this over Tony's head because of Vito.
Right? And Tony says he needs them. He needs them for the captains need them for the medical insurance. And, he's talking about John, he said, it's sure you want about John, but he understood that ours is a mutual, a beneficial arrangement. And a great line here, John's folding laundry in fucking Danbury,
Connecticut, and prison. And Phil's done with John. The crying at the wedding killed it all.
Yeah, that's that. Frank Vincent's very good here. He said, I made my decision with all due respect. It's final. And then they bring up the vitamins. Phil says the boxes of the vitamins your nephew delivered. Was that Christopher?
Christopher, and they went through the vitamins and took shit. Obviously.
They were ripped open, pills all over the floor. Phil offers to pay him. He says, no, I don't want your money.
And Phil might be exaggerating for effect, of course, because they're all full of shit. And they all
Kitchen, Tony's watching a World War II documentary.
Watching Is Paris Burning, which is a documentary about the liberation of Paris, the resistance movement. He refers to it later in the episode. It looks like he's eating a crumb cake, Entenmann's crumb cake. No?
Either Drake's or Entenmann's.
Which is a good crumb cake, both of them.
Yeah. I used to like that Drake's coffee cake.
They still make that, don't they?
I don't know where to find them, but yeah. Do they?
I'm going to get you
Drake's around so much anymore.
No?
For people that don't know, Drake's, they were, a cake company. So you had Ring Dings.
Right.
Ring Dings, Devil Dogs. All right, what else? Ring Dings, they had cupcakes with the filling inside. You had the crumb cake.
Coffee cakes were great.
Coffee cake.
And Entenmann's makes a good coffee cake.
Drake's Cakes. Yeah, Entenmann's is great. Remember I told you that trip to Paris? Carmela says, I won it at the silent auction. This is something that I love. I won it.
I won a trip that cost $5,000.
You didn't win it. It's like, they send you a thing. Congratulations. You won, when you do bid on something to silent auction, congratulations, you won it. What do you mean I won it? I paid for it.
$5,000 for a week.
For 2.
for two people.
It's not terrible. I don't know if they're flying first class or not.
No, but it's not like it's a gift or a prize.
No, you probably got somewhat of a break. It was a charity. Somebody donated it, whether it be a travel agency or something, and you didn't win shit. You paid for it.
Tony doesn't remember. He's kind of clueless. And he's saying, why Paris, go to Italy? At that time, because we were still dealing with, remember Bush, W. Bush had, there was a lot of tension with Paris. They renamed French fries, freedom fries, all that stuff. Yeah. So he's a little bit like, go to Italy instead. And then she says, I need a vacation. It's been a hard year. He says, you know what? Go ahead, deserve it. For him, it's probably a vacation to be alone for a week.
Yeah, but she needs a break from Meadow and AJ and the Spec House. And she says, I got 3 years of French in high school. That's a long time ago. And she doesn't really want Tony to go. Because immediately when he says, no, there's no trying to talk him into it. Okay, I'm going to go call Ro. I'm so excited. She'd rather go with Ro.
And she says, it'll be good for you. You stay home, do what boys do on their own. Is she kind of saying basically you could cheat for the week?
That's what I got from that. Go ahead.
You can go out, get fucked up and mess around. I don't know. It seems like that's what she's alluding to. And then he points to this TV screen and you see the Nazis marching into Paris in the Champs-Élysées.
He asks her, how's the euro? She doesn't have a clue. Doesn't care one way or another. She's got the money. Tony got the money. She doesn't care. The euro's high. The euro's low. No, does not mean anything to her. Prices don't mean shit.
Right.
Tony reads the newspaper. He's in the mall. Vito arrives. He's got a Notre Dame hat. What do you think?
Well, because she's going to Paris.
Is that the connection there?
That's the cathedral, maybe. It's the Paris connection. And it's also referring to Bacala and the Hunchback. I don't know,
Yeah.
Good luck.
Vito says he gives a little veiled threat. My brother's over there. In other words, don't do anything. You think the brother's packing?
Or pretending he is.
Yeah.
And that's Brian Spatafor. And Tony gets really pissed that he's threatening him.
And that's Vinny. Vinny was part of the crew. Vinny Orfino plays Vito's brother.
Was he a Teamster?
Don't you forget he got hurt.
He got hit by Mustang Sally's stunt. Yeah.
Tony says, you sandbag me, I'll cut your throat open. I want back in. Can I sit? He gives the bullshit. It's complicated. I was working things out. The medication. I'll get a note from my doctor.
Pressure went to his head and messed him up. He's getting a note from his doctor.
And Tony has a great line. I know from your doctor saying you don't like to suck cock.
But then he changes his tune when he says, 200 grand goes to you, nobody knows, and he stops and pauses. He likes the sound of that.
I'll pay my way back in. No one needs to know.
I can't do construction, but meth, crystal meth and running girls, we could do it in AC. I'm close, but I'm not too close. Tony kind of likes the idea.
Kind of thinking about it.
The 200 grand perked his ears up, without a doubt.
Now, we didn't talk about it last episode, but there was a deleted scene that I saw, and it was Vito, in New Hampshire, in the gazebo. Tony and Silvio were at his house, and Vito calls the wife, Marie, and Tony and Silvio get on the speakerphone. They tell his wife to go downstairs, and Tony's trying to lure him back in. It's on YouTube if you want to see it.
Really? Now, Why was that cut?
And I don't know why it was cut. And Tony, at the beginning of it, is telling Silvio about his boat and that it cost him $1,000 because of the gas prices, $1,000 every time he wants to go fishing. Silvio says, you don't even like it that much. He talks to Vito. He's trying to tell him to come on back in.
Vito was one of his best earners.
He's saying whether or not he's going to trick him, I don't know. But he says, some of the guys, they had, doubts, but I talked to them. So I don't know if he's trying to get him to lure in to kill him, but that's a deleted scene. Check that out on YouTube.
Yeah, but where did that come in this episode?
I believe it was probably the episode before, you know.
But at that time, Tony was not ready to kill him.
Well,
So maybe he just wants his,
he wanted him to come in for the money.
He wants the gas money.
He asked him, he says, what about Silvio? What does he think? And Silvio just stares. And we know Silvio's not for it.
Silvio's not for it. But,
you know, so to check out that deleted scene there. So Silvio, Paulie, and Christopher are talking. Christopher, he was fucking stalking you. And Silvio says, you know, that's the thing. It's living in the closet. It makes them devious.
Right. You're talking about, you know, a mobster saying it makes you, you know, these guys lie like they, you know, like they breathe and
absolutely
steal and kill, whatever.
And he says, say what you want about Richie Appeal, but when he found out his son was gay, he did the right thing. He disowned him. I'm very surprised Silvio, who seems to be more level-headed.
Not when it comes to this.
No. And smarter than the rest of the group. Seems to be around a little more understanding. He's not.
Not on this case.
When it comes to this.
Speaking of crystal meth, look at this while you're on. You see Mickey Rooney playing the drums. A 1940 movie, Strike Up the Band. It was a Busby Berkeley movie with Judy Garland. And apparently they both were on speed, Judy Garland and Mickey Rooney.
Oh, yeah?
You know, Judy Garland was given, you know, amphetamines by the studio because they were working them to death. And so was Mickey Rooney. So he may very well been on some form of amphetamine during the shooting of that.
They were working them like dogs. They were kid actors. They were working them like dogs. Mickey Rooney was married, 7 or 8 times? And he also, there's a guy that I know that Mickey Rooney at one point was so broke that he used to go to your birthday party for $500.
That's like the pre-digital version of Cameo.
Yeah, but he would go to your birthday party and then people would go, "Hey, Mickey, how do you know Joe?" And you go, "Well, we went to school. We were schoolboys together." Whatever story they made, the backstory up, but that was true. And then I remember he did Broadway Sugar Babies. He made a big comeback, but Mickey Rooney had a tough time, and then he elderly abuse. Somebody in his family. He was
married 8 times. Jesus.
It's a lot of fucking times. He kept getting the broads. He must have had a big salami.
Well, he lived a long time, too.
He took Blue Chew tablets.
Blue Chew. That must have been it.
Must have had a version of that. Then Christopher says, I got a meeting. Paulie, alcohol's fucking anonymous now. Salvatore Luciana must be looking down on all of us who is...
Salvatore Lucania was Charlie Lucky Luciano. His name, they don't know where the name came from. It might have been because Luciano survived a beating and a throat slashing by rival mobsters that he refused to work for.
Tony Vito in Atlantic City, he's out there. It's not part of us. He's trying to talk them into it. As we get, a trickle of cash coming in each month. So he's trying to talk them into letting Vito come back in some capacity. Vito floated it.
Also, it doesn't like the idea of kowtowing to Phil, Tony.
Yeah, but Paulie doesn't like the idea. That's why he gets up and goes. He doesn't say nothing, but he gets up and goes.
Doesn't like the idea of what?
He doesn't like the idea that possibly letting Vito survive this.
No, I'm saying Tony doesn't like the idea of
I understand
being killed because of Phil. Paulie doesn't like is on the other side.
Correct. But do you know what I mean? Paulie just gets up and leaves. He doesn't want to hear this. Silvio looks at Tony like, you're not really thinking about doing this. They're not for it.
They're not for it at all. And they said popular sentiment to get rid of Vito, Phil alone. And Tony's like, fuck Phil. He, there's an ego thing. There's a power thing. And for the guys, I guess it's just whatever, a morale. It's kind of a thing of respect or honor, but it's, I don't know.
Soprano bedroom. Carmela gets ready for her trip. You ready? There's so much going on here. Just the thought of flying, the heightened security. And he gives her a gift. It's a wallet full of cash. It looked like there's quite a bit of money there.
10 grand?
10 grand at least. No. For her to go to Paris to spend, that's pretty fucking nice.
Yeah.
Now that's nice. You had a rough year, me in the hospital, you there around the clock. Want you to enjoy yourself. He gets a Louis Vuitton, he says.
Louis Vuitton, yeah, is that what he says?
Louis Vuitton, a real one, not a knockoff. You know, you in that coma, I told you I loved you. Do you remember? No. I should tell you more often, nobody's stopping you. She takes that money.
Oh, yeah. So she needs
He is one of the biggest contradictory character.
Carmela, yeah.
With the religion, but yet wants the money, wants to buy shit. What do you need to buy? At a certain age, Michael, what do you fucking need to buy anymore?
Yeah. No, I understand.
Really? I mean, you know, you're younger, I get it. What do you fucking need?
You don't have a Louis Vuitton wallet?
I don't have none of that. It's never done anything for me. I don't have a Rolex. I don't have any of that. I mean, it just doesn't do anything for me.
No,
I don't even want it as a gift.
Neither do I.
You know, it's not that I don't want to buy it. I don't want it. I don't wear jewelry. I mean, I wear a watch, you know.
You don't wear it on the air, but, you know.
Yeah, I have bling usually. I don't wear it on the air. I have big gold rope chains, you know. Big, like Flavor Flav. I wear fucking Jones, a clock. I got watches, you know. Not important to me.
No, I know.
I mean, what do I buy? A Tommy Bahama shirt. This is it, $110. This is what I buy.
What is it, silk?
Silk. Some of them are silk, some are not. That's there. That's what I buy.
Yeah, but you like that. It's comfortable.
Comfortable to me. Fat guys wear. You wear them out. It's like when you wear Untuck It. It's a good shirt, good material. It feels good.
Yeah.
But you know what my biggest extravagance is?
What? Traveling.
I use baby wipes to wipe my ass instead of toilet paper. That's my biggest extravagance. I don't use regular Charmin. I buy baby wipes, you know, Huggies or whatever, the Pampers, and I wipe my ass with those. That's...
How many episodes do we have left in this podcast?
That's my big expenditure.
Yeah, good for you, Steve. I'm glad you... I think our
and you should think about it.
I'm thinking, yeah.
That's really treating yourself.
Yeah.
Really treating yourself that after you use it, you'll say, why the fuck have I been using toilet paper?
I don't think I can now that I'm picturing you using it. I think you've spoiled it for me.
I'm just telling you.
You could have just sent me a box anonymously and I might have used it, but now it's...
That's my biggest spending. That's my luxury. Just so you know.
Yeah.
Rockefeller Center restaurant. It used to be the Sea Grill. That was the Sea Grill.
That's closed. We had one of our premieres there.
Well, more than one. Yeah,
more than one? Yeah.
Really nice when the ice skaters are out there. Expensive place, but the Sea Grill, I don't think it's open anymore. I don't know what it's called now. But, you know, watch the ice skaters, in the fall and the winter. It's very nice, really nice.
And in the summer, they'd have tables out where the rink was, right? Did you ever go skating on that rink? You took the kids?
Me? No. My kids have, and my wife, not me.
Yeah, my kids too. I'm not an ice skater.
Fucking ice skating. I could barely walk down the street.
I never learned to ice skate.
No, I went once. I had to hold on the whole time.
I hated it.
Yeah, I did once, Sun Valley, Idaho. I don't know how they stand up in that.
I did it at Playland up in Rye, New York. They had a couple of rinks there, but I hated it.
And I tried it when I was like in shape, not now.
No, when I was young, when I was a teenager. Not for me.
Vito's with his family. He tells the kids you can't tell anyone that he's a spy. Works for the CIA.
In Afghanistan, yeah.
In Afghanistan. You got to tell anyone, is it dangerous to be a spy? I mean, look at this story. His brother's standing by, sitting at the table, but he's around. I guess he must be carrying a piece.
He's a loyal brother. He loves his brother.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's probably the only person he can really reach out to at this point. And then we go to the skating rink. The kids are skating, and Vito's talking to Marie. Great song playing, Summer Rain by Gritty Kitty. It's a really good one.
He's got a good wife here. He's got a good wife to
He's
even
ready to take him back.
She loves him. She wants to take him back. Have you talked to Father Macon about him being gay?
And he says, I don't have a problem. It's over. I'm thinking we should have another kid.
He's trying to, put his life back together, but it ain't going to be easy.
I always get a kick out of that. Talk to the priest. Unless the priest is gay, what's he going to tell you? It's like, a marriage. The priests say, you come to me, you talk to me. What do they know about marriage?
Well, sometimes, if a priest is empathetic, just talking to somebody about something that's very difficult that you can't talk to anybody about is helpful.
Go to a therapist instead. I mean, if I have a fight with my wife and I call the priest, what the fuck is he going to tell me?
I've had a couple of priests that were actually very helpful at times.
Really? I would rather talk to a rabbi, because at least he was married.
Well, if you're talking about marriage, I'm talking about whatever kind of problems. But there's priests that are smart and empathetic and helpful. Sure.
I can't imagine. Nothing against priests. I have some. I love Father Dominic out of Our Lady of Guadalupe. There's many priests. Father Pete was fantastic. There's a lot of good priests. I'm not saying that. I told you the guy that married me, Father White, he's passed away. He baptized my kids.
Wait, you married a guy? What guy married?
When he married me and my wife.
Oh, okay.
But what can I go to a priest with now and he's going to help me with?
Well, maybe dealing with me.
Bless me, Father, if I have sinned. I have a wacko partner.
What's your sin?
I have a wacko partner on the podcast.
Listen, you can always come to me if you have a problem. He's got
crazy ideas. He's a Buddhist. He's got some insane ideas, Father. How do I deal with him?
You come to me if you have a problem, Steve.
I will. I'd rather come
always to you. My door's always open.
I would rather come to you. Vito calls Jim. He's back at the motel. It's a Howard Johnson. He calls Jim. How you doing, Jim? Fuck you. Not a word, not a note. What kind of person are you? I got kids. I couldn't live without them. Bullshit. It was a life you couldn't live without. The gambling.
And he's right. Yeah.
He doesn't know he's a murderer.
No, he says life, gambling, money, the money, the power, people kiss your ass down there. And he says, you're right. And he says, I don't want to know you. I'm done. Jim was a stand-up guy.
Yeah. He says, you need help. You're seriously fucked up.
Yeah.
That's what he tells Vito. Jim's pissed off. Taxi, Paris, Carmela and Rosalie driving a taxi.
The first time I went to Paris, I think it was 93, 94. That's where I stayed, right near the Arc de Triomphe.
Oh,
yeah? And she's taken in the beauty. It's just a beautiful city. There's history and art and beauty like everywhere you look. It's a great walking city. You just walk for hours and just one more, breathtaking thing after another. It's just stunning.
Now, do you find the French, they don't like Americans?
No, I don't find that to be true at all. Here's what happened to me. The first time I was there, I was smoking. I used to smoke tobacco. I used to roll my own cigarettes, right? So my first day there, I went into a tabac. They call it tabac. That's a cigarette store, cigar store. And I walk in the store and I do like I did in New York. I walk in the store, the guy's behind the counter. I say, give me two packs of drum. And I said it in French, how it was, drum,
You speak French?
No, a little tiny word. I can get around a little bit. So I said 2 packs of drum. That's all I said. The guy takes my money, throws the bag down, throws my change at me, doesn't say, really, really mean.
And he's French.
I go back in 2 days later, same thing happens. And I tell someone, he said, well, what did you say? I said, I walked in, I said, give me 2 packs of drums. He said, no, you don't do it like that. You go in, it's the guy's store. You say, good day. Hello, bonjour. Can I have this, please? Thank you very much. So the next day I walk in, the same guy, bonjour, he says bonjour. 2 drums, s'il vous plaît. Smiles, nice, makes a joke or something, smiles, It was a completely different experience.
So it was your fault.
was my fault for being, well, you walk in a deli here, you'll say to the guy, give me a pack of, give me a lighter, give me a pack of cigarettes. We're used to more of a brusque, and people don't get offended at that necessarily.
No. People don't get offended, and a lot of
There
people,
it's different.
There's none of that.
It's different.
That's few and far between. Hey, how are you?
Right.
How can I help you? That's few.
But it wasn't that I was American. It was that I was not, I was not being polite.
Yeah, I've never,
I learned that, and it's been, I find them not at all, and that whole thing, they won't speak English. They will if you make an attempt. Don't be arrogant and just think they're gonna just do it. Talk. They assume that they speak English. If you ask, parle inglés or something, they will help you.
I've never had any problems. I've never had any problems in Montreal.
Have you been to Paris?
No.
You should go. It's really really beautiful.
I need to go. I think we're going to try to get there in the spring, Italy and there. And
city to go to the movies in. They have a lot of movie theaters and a lot of retro movie theaters that show old movies.
In Paris?
Little ones all day long. They're really, really big into film and cinema. Obviously, we know that, but going to the movies in Paris is great.
Jerry Lewis is big there.
Jerry Lewis is big there.
They love Jerry Lewis.
Mickey Rourke too, and The Sopranos.
Mickey Rourke also.
Huge.
Are they Sopranos popular in France?
Huge. Yes.
Oh, they recognized you everywhere?
The last time I went for the book, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Rosalie says, do your bowels just jam up when you fly?
Well, Carmela's taking in the beauty, and she's talking about the bowels. They're in two different kind of mindsets in a way, right?
Supermarket. Vito meets with Terry. Once again, hop along Kessadich. What do you know? What do you say? The word is you reached out to Tony. Terry says, so this is a meeting. Vito says, I appreciate you coming out to see me. And Terry very smartly asked him to borrow 20 grand.
Right. Now, Terry was, I'm assuming, part of his crew at one point.
He's with Phil.
No, Terry's.
No. Terry was with Max. Yeah. Remember when he said, I'll follow you in the car. Yeah. Right. Yeah. He was with, not Max, with Benny.
Benny. Yeah.
And yeah, absolutely. So he says, meet me here. He wants to talk to him, and he's very smart. Give it 2 points. He says, I could give it to you at 2.5. He could have said 5.
And he would have took it.
He knows what's about to happen.
He knows he's dead man walking. Hopalong Cassidy was a TV movie cowboy. Played.
Vito tries to hug Terry. Terry backs away, if you notice that.
Terry backs away, yeah.
Puts his hand in his pockets. Lou Costello Memorial. This park is so incredible. But it is, it's almost like it's a joke, the statue, but it's very much real.
Oh, it's real, yeah.
And, we're both huge fans of Abbott and Costello and Lou Costello.
Yeah, of course.
Big fans. Tony meets with Phil. Phil, you said you were going to take care of the fucking Fanuc. Oh, for Christ's sakes, Vito again. What the fuck is wrong with you? He's in town, isn't he? I was at the Maria's the other night. She played innocent. Tony walks, he says, I know. I can tell she's seen him. And he calls him the great Karnak. Karnak the Great from Johnny Carson.
Johnny Carson's psychic.
Do that with the head, the psychic thing.
Right. You notice the statue is Lou Costello's holding a bat, and Frank Vincent played Billy Bats in Goodfellas.
Yeah, but that's a coincidence. What? They made the statue because of that?
No, they said it. They used the location because.
But they use the location for a lot of things. I don't know about it. I think you're reaching there.
Maybe.
I think you're reaching.
And he says, if Vito was here and you knew about it, and Tony just says, fuck this, and walks
away. He had enough already with Vito. Vito's causing all kinds of problems. He's not even around. Jesus Christ. Paris Cafe, Rosalie and Carmela eat. Carmela, nobody fucking knows you here, Ro. Can you believe that? All the guidebooks say you should try and get on the local schedule. Did you reset your watch?
And she's got jet lag. Carmela wants to go to museums. She's drinking, and Ro is drinking Remy.
She's smoking.
How are you with jet lag?
I'm okay with the 6 hours, but when we went to Australia, I said, I'll just stay up. I got in at 9 in the morning. I didn't fly with you guys. I landed at LAX 9 in the morning. So I was home by about 10 or so, 10:30. And I said, I'm just going to stay up. I could stay up all right. I'll be all right.
When you came home?
Yeah.
Because coming home's worse.
I was knocked out 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, me too. Coming back is worse. Yeah. That's what I find.
Well, I slept 40 minutes. I slept as soon as I got on the plane. We were out in the casino the night before in Melbourne. And I was out. I fell asleep when I hit the plane. 40 minutes. The girl next to me got drunk 3 different fucking times during the flight.
Wait, were you on the plane coming back with us? No.
No.
I was with Vinny. There was a bar. We were on Virgin Australia. There was a bar in our first class cabin.
Drinking.
There was a guy who was at the bar. They had to cut him off and send him to his seats at one point. He got so demolished at that bar. They cut him off. He was falling down, plaster drunk.
Yeah. I don't drink on planes.
Well, the worst thing for jet lag is alcohol.
Yeah, I don't drink on planes.
100% worse.
So I got in and, I got on the plane. I slept and she was a nice enough girl 3 times. I'm not even exaggerating. She must have drank fucking 4 bottles of white wine.
3 or 4 bottles?
Yeah. Swear to God. She drank, fell asleep, ate, was up for a while, drank again, fell asleep.
Did she throw up?
No. She was all right. I was up the whole time.
Languages?
I was like a fucking mental patient. I was the only one awake. I was like a mental patient. Yeah. Even the flight attendant, she was a friend of Nick Totoro, our good friend Nick Totoro. She was friends with Nick, and she said, Steve, I'll see you later. She went upstairs to sleep.
You didn't sleep?
40 minutes.
You never sleep on a plane?
Usually an hour, like that.
Do you speak any other languages?
I barely speak English.
Do you speak Spanish?
I have a hard enough time with the English language, as all 200,000 people could tell.
Laura speaks Spanish, right?
She speaks Spanish. My 2 daughters speak Spanish.
But she hasn't taught you any Spanish?
Her and her mother, I think, used to talk Spanish, talk about me.
Talk about you?
Yeah. Her mother used to call me Gordito, which I think means
fat. That was probably about you, yeah.
Fat guy, Gordito.
It means little fat guy.
Little fat guy.
But you're not. You're a big.
Grande Gordito. They all speak Spanish for me. I don't speak anything.
No.
I took Italian in junior high school. I don't remember anything.
Never too late.
Yeah. Let's see. Rosalie. Yeah, Rosalie's on a different thing. She's getting off that she could smoke.
She could smoke anywhere she loves.
In the restaurants, Carmela.
That's over though. You can't do that anymore in Paris.
Even over there.
No.
Carmela Rosalie lost. God damn it! She's lost her glove. She's worried about that. I'm all turned around. Carmela says we're miles from the Louvre. Fuck, damn it! I already lost the glove. It's like you said. They're on two different things.
That's the Pont Alexandre. That's over the bridge over the Seine River. It's particularly beautiful bridge over the river.
Are you a sightsee guy? When you go places, you have to see the big sights?
I don't like tours. I like to do it myself.
Do your own thing.
There's certain things you want to see. Like if you go to Rome, you got to once see the Colosseum. But I'm more just like, Victoria and I like just wandering around.
Yeah.
I do like museums. I like looking at art wherever I go. If I go to a city, I like if they have great museums, I want to go and look at the art there.
I don't want to be structured like that and have to be.
No, I hate that. Especially, I don't like being part of any tour group either. Yeah. But we're going to Italy, and we have a mutual. A friend of ours is going to introduce us to the director of the Vatican museums. So we're going to get hooked up at the Vatican tour of the art museums.
Are you going to go see the Pope if you could get in?
I think it's just seeing maybe his private chapel and some of the museums there. I can't wait for that. I've been to the Vatican.
The Pope, what are you going to say? If it happens, what are you going to say? I don't believe in God, Pope?
No, I don't think the conversation would
turn to that. I might just say hello. We'll talk about The Sopranos. I'm assuming he watches it, right?
Think he watches The Sopranos?
Probably.
Oh, you think who's his favorite character? Father Phil?
Father Phil.
I saw the Pope when he came to New York City at Madison Square Garden. I didn't get to meet him, but
yeah, really? He did a mass there? Which Pope?
The one that's in there now.
Francis.
Yeah.
He's from Argentina.
We were invited. The garden invited us. Jim Dolan, very nice.
Oh, that's cool.
We enjoyed it. Barry Watkins, friend. We enjoyed that. Sting was there.
Sting was there?
A whole bunch of athletes. Knicks, Rangers, athletes.
Yeah. That's cool.
Tony talks to Silvio.
Interesting cut, because we're going from the beauty. Carmela's looking at this beautiful piece of sculpture on the bridge there, and then we cut to Silvio with the Bing sign, clean that shit off her tit. It's a very specific cut that we're making there to make the contrast between the two places.
Vito, Atlantic City, forget it. I can't keep fighting Phil on this. Our businesses are all intertwined. You got to pick your battles. You want no-show jobs. Vito's got to go. It's the right move, T. Give it to, he says, give it to Carlo. He had the biggest problem with it. Let him.
I love the line, Vito should have pursued this quietly, and Sil says, well, he wasn't he? Which is a great, it's kind of like, he kind of was. He wasn't doing it.
He kind of was, but he says it's Vito's own fault.
Well, he shouldn't have been at the construction site. That was a mistake. But he went to the gay bar. He wasn't doing it in New Jersey at the bars that the mobsters go to.
I guess not, but he certainly shit where he ate. With the
construction site was a mistake.
That's how this got started in the first place. And he should have stayed where he was. Stay in New Hampshire or wherever he was going, Send for your wife and kids and go. I don't know the real mob in real life. If they go for this, I don't know. Can they, maybe in this day and age, they could live with a gay mobster? I don't know, It's more accepting in the world.
They had that line in one episode, a few episodes ago, and Tony says, let's not kid ourselves. He's not the first.
Of course. So I'm just saying, the world is more tolerant, as they should be. So maybe the mob is.
Maybe, yeah.
Bada bing. Tony's at the bar. Silvio walks away. I'll tell Carlo to be at the mall looking for Vito.
That's Nights in White Satin, which was originally done by the Moody Blues, version by Giorgio Moroder. Yeah, Tony gets a message from Carmela. He's looking at the stripper. That's Natalie Walker, who was born in France, interestingly.
Oh, really?
Playing the stripper, Lori.
The stripper, and they smiled. There's a little chemistry there, obviously. Paris Street, Carmela Rosalie Walk. I notice all these plaques all over. What do they say?
There's tons of those all over Paris, like historical things that happen on the site, who live, if somebody famous, historically famous, lived in a certain building, you'll see it on the outside of the building, or if something, important historically happened at that site, you'll see it, some tribute to it. Very cool.
Phil's bedroom. Now, Phil's wife is evil.
Evil.
She's a fucking evil, religious fucking psycho. Okay?
She's a religious zealot psycho. You're absolutely right. She's talking about the Taylor's losing his eyesight, the concerned Catholic mothers, the Protestant minister. He's, we're embarrassed. Vito's damned to hell. There's nothing gay about hell. I mean, it's all just...
She's evil. And
then she says he should be made to face his problem squarely. She knows what that means to Phil.
She's basically telling Phil to kill him.
Basically, yeah.
Right there, she's telling Phil to kill him. As she tries to come off as this religious psycho nut job.
Passionate bullshit artist. And then it cuts, interesting cut, because she's talking about this, it cuts to a ecce homo, which behold. It means behold man. It's a famous statue of Christ, famous image of Christ. Behold, behold the man. That's when Pilate, after he was flogged, I believe, by Pilate, presented to the crowd and said, "This is your, man," or whatever. That's what it translates literally as. Interesting cut. That church, that's the Saint Eustache, which is in Les, which is the former meat market of Paris. Mozart's mother was buried there. It was built in the 13th century. Saint Eustache was a Roman general who converted to Christianity and was burned with his family by the Romans.
So we're in the church. Carmela and Rosalie are walking through this beautiful old church. They pray. Rosalie's lighting candles. I assume it's for her son and her husband.
An interesting cut, because Carmela looks up at the statue of the Virgin Mary with the baby, and we cut to Tony in a car. It almost looks like he's having a panic attack. Back in Black by AC/DC's playing, one of Jim Gandolfini's favorite bands. But he loves AC/DC, as do I, and a lot of people. But it looks like he's almost having a panic attack. And then we realize that's not the case. Kind of reminiscent of the scene with Vito in a weird way, right?
Yeah, kind of. Also, this is where Martin Brucely, the producer who did a lot of the music, told us that when they got permission from AC/DC to use the song, they left out the part that
he said Tony gives her a ride home.
That's what they said. Tony gave her a ride home. They left out the part that she was giving him she was blowing him, so they left that out. It was very nice. He drops her off. She's very happy. She gives him a kiss on the cheek. He gives her some money. She doesn't want it at first, but she takes it. Very pleasant. It seemed like a nice exchange. Everyone was happy. She got a ride home. She got a few extra bucks. He got what he wanted. It seemed very pleasant all the way around.
If life was only that simple.
Exactly. Tony gets a call. Yeah, I thought I need to know who these Atlantic City contacts are. Vito calls him. Meet me in the mall at 11 o'clock. Don't be late.
He's listening to Q104, which often he was. That's one of our favorite stations in New York. Our friends
with Shelley and Jim Kerr and Shelley. Those are friends of ours. They've been very helpful to us over the years. And
Leonard Skinner comes on.
That Tony's trying to get him to come in so Carlo can meet him at the mall and do away with him.
You like Leonard Skinner?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have some good songs.
Yeah.
Simple Man's a good one.
Yeah. Motel, Howard Johnson in Jersey. Vito arrives. How they know he's there? Followed him, got tipped off. We don't really know how they know.
Good question.
They don't really know. It could be they followed him. Terry, maybe he told Terry, it could be, in the grocery store. Maybe Terry went there to pick up the money.
Oh, because there was a scene we don't see where he gets the money.
Could be.
It might have been Terry.
Vito arrives. Jerry and Fat Dom, played by
Tony Cucci.
Tony Cucci does a nice job.
Bill comes out of the closet. Now, there's a lot of theories about what this means.
By who?
There's a lot of online chatter about this. Here's one. You're not going to like it, but I'm going to say it anyway because people are talking about it. There's a theory that Phil and Vito were having an affair.
Okay. For you to even repeat that?
No.
You're an intelligent man.
There's something.
The audience.
Phil comes out of the closet in this scene.
How could something like that come out of your mouth?
Okay. Phil comes out of the closet in this scene. Then when they start beating him, you see him grabbing the sheets like he's in a very sexual manner. Then we see him watching this bodybuilding contest and he gets horrified that it's even on, like his own internal homophobia. And there's a scene, I don't remember if it's coming up or we saw it already, when Dr. Dan Conti sees him and starts singing The Girl from Ipanema. Look at him, tall and tan and young and lovely. There's a lot of homoeroticism around Phil.
Maybe you're right.
Phil also, don't forget, was in jail for 20 years.
I'm going to ask David Chase, who is coming on. We've got some great guests coming on again. I'm going to ask David that specific question.
So that's why he's so hell-bent on killing him,
It
because
could very well be in case he says, yeah, well, not only am I gay, Phil's gay.
right. And Christopher, it's a joke when he says it, but in hindsight, there might be something to it. Lovers quarrel, maybe.
I'm going to ask David. I'm curious. I do hear what you're saying. That was weird that he just stood on the bed and grabbed the sheets. I found that a little weird. And he's really holding on to this. He won't let this go.
No.
Phil.
It's almost too much, yeah.
You're a fucking disgrace. You're a fucking disgrace. Right. You're a disgrace.
You could have shot him in the head.
No one else cares, but also no one else cares as much as Phil.
Right, but this is a made guy. It's a brother-in-law. You could, whatever it is, cousin-in-law. You could have shot him in the head and be done with it. They torture this guy to death.
That's very possible. You're a disgrace, and I don't know why Phil would want to watch that. But these guys are sadists, and maybe you got something there. Carmela takes a picture of the building. Pied
de Cochon, which means the pig's foot. That's a famous restaurant in Les Halles. That's the former meat market or open market in Paris, or it's still.
Did you go there?
They have one in Montreal. They have one in D.C. They used to have one in the Ritz-Carlton in Buckhead in Atlanta. It was open 24 hours. Pied de Cochon. Yeah, French food. A lot of meats and organ meats and stuff like that. Very famous place. But I think David got a kick out of showing the neon sign of the pig and then cutting to the pork store. It's like they're making these contrasts between the beauty of Paris or the kind of whatever, the flavor of Paris and Jersey.
And New Jersey. Murmur tells a joke. Everyone laughs. Bobby comes in, he gives the news. He was found beat to death this morning in a motel in Fort Lee, which is right over the George Washington Bridge. The detective told him Vito had a pool cue rammed up his ass.
And that's a little even too much for the guys. They wanted him gone. They were embarrassed by him, but this description of his murder is a little too much for them. They think he didn't deserve that fate.
Christopher lovers quarrel, maybe. Tony says we all know who did it. Carlo.
Now, Tony's pissed off because made guy in Tony's crew. Carlo was going to do it. Carlo took over the crew, kind of to defend the honor of the guys left in Vito's crew. And the fact that Phil did it really kind of cuts Tony's balls off.
Sure. He's out of line. He went over Tony. He said, this is not for Phil to do or anyone else. This is Tony's call.
And then Carlos says, well, you got to admire the guy. He's not all talk, kind of referring to Tony in a way.
Carlos says some stupid things sometimes.
Yeah. Saved us trouble. Phil's family honor. Tony would have done the same. I wish I would have borrowed money, which we know Terry did.
Very funny. You got a nice smile from Terry. Carmela calls, if Tony tells Silvio, it's about me. It's not about Vito.
Right.
It's always been about me. It brings up the vitamins again. And then Carmela, I'm seeing some incredible things, Tony. And he's coming up with how's the French toast? What about the French fries? All the stereotypical French jokes, I guess, And,
kind of like Ro is doing in a weird way.
She's this is very romantic to her, the romance of the city, and she's cultured, and she's always been into that, the suburban New Jersey housewife.
Yeah, and she's staying in a fancy hotel, eating at the best restaurants, living it up. She's having a great trip. This is no bargain tour.
He asked, how's Prince Albert? He fit right in France. None of those dipshits want to work either. I did get him to hose down the trash can. He hangs up with her. People are going to expect a response. Silvio says, we hit one of Phil's guys. And made guys get killed. The war went on 7 years. When they go to the mattresses, which is a reference to The Godfather, when they go to mattresses, they're not out there earning.
Not earning. There was a war for 7 years between the Bonanos and the Gambinos, and that was Tony's worried about money.
All Phil cares about is money, he says. It's him. And he's got the Wire Room in Sheepshead Bay, which is where they do the bookmaking. And, he's going to do something. He can't just not do anything. He's got to retaliate somehow. AJ's room. AJ sits at his desk with his shirt off, typing on his laptop. He's hysterical, laughing.
He's in some chat room. And do you think Tony, coming from this last scene where they're dealing with these, very high stakes, a made guy and his crew just got murdered. Now he's figuring out a response, possible mob war. And then he comes home and there's, his son just like, basically.
Very big disappointment. Very big disappointment. We're in Paris on the street. She's talking to Michelle.
He's from Belleville.
Belleville,
France. But there's a Belleville in New Jersey again.
Las Vegas half the year.
What?
He says he lives in Las Vegas half the year.
All right.
Michelle is his cousin has a French restaurant. He works there. Roe is enamored by the attention, and he's 26 years old.
Yeah, and she's Carmela's not. You're not really gonna go see him, and she's like, "Yeah, I am."
Why not? You're on vacation. Why the fuck not?
Yeah.
It'll be one and done. Why not enjoy yourself?
Yeah, and she's talking about Vegas like they're going to get together in the States. That's all talk. They're at the Roman, it's called the Terme de Cluny. That's the Roman thermal baths built in the 3rd century. She starts talking about the city so old, all these lives. It's so sad. Makes you think, makes you look at life differently. Again, the cold stones, referring to the title. And she brings up Tony, what he said, when he came out of the coma, who am I, where am I going? Which is a big, in a nutshell, a lot of themes about the show and in general, I think that David wanted to explore. Carmela feels the same way and starts crying.
Coming here, I feel the same way. And she tries to comfort her. We worry so much, sometimes it feels like that's all we do. But in the end, it just gets washed away. She's thinking about life.
And this is an important quote because, I don't worry a lot anymore, but I used to a lot.
Worry about what?
Yeah, especially about the kids, raising kids, and when I was doing and other stuff too. And then you go through stuff, and then you realize, you look back and you're like, what were, your worst fear didn't materialize at the times, but you spend all this time worrying about it with all this anxiety for nothing. That's really what she's referring to. Do you worry a lot?
I worry about the kids.
Still?
And my wife. Still.
A lot?
Well, they're older. A lot.
Does it keep you up at night?
I don't know about that, but at times. And they're good kids. I worry about living here in New York City where, things are really shitty. The mayor has done a terrible job. It's very dangerous here, even though anything could happen anywhere. I don't worry about my career, which I did at one point. I don't worry about the next job. I'm kind of the next whatever it is. If there's something, if not, I've done okay and I'm out. I don't worry about that,
You worry about the podcast? Does that keep you up at night?
No.
Who's our next guest? What are you going to say next week? How it's going to go? No?
I don't think about saying anything until I turn the microphone on and I start talking to you.
Well, that's cool.
Nothing planned.
You have notes, though.
I have notes from watching the episode. I don't have notes and say, well, you know what? I'm going to say to Michael, I did blah, blah, blah. I don't do any of that.
Well, I don't say that. I have talking points, stuff I want to ask you sometimes, some stuff I want to pick your brain about or just discuss. Sure.
Yeah. Just to go back to Michelle, when you say, you meet someone on vacation and you had a great time and you're away and you're uninhibited and then you're going to go back home. If you do meet the person, it's never the same. I'm sure I'm not the only one with this experience. So you went on vacation, you went to spring break in Florida when you were a kid, you met someone, and then you meet them, you go fly out to meet them, or they come and fly you. It's never, ever the same. It's like, what the fuck am I doing here? It's a different atmosphere, different time. You know, it worked when it worked. You know what I mean? It's very hard to duplicate. Unless it's real. Unless you're in love,
yeah.
No, I mean, you meet someone in a nightclub in Vegas, you know, you spend the night with them and you think you're going to reenact that. It ain't happening.
It was of the moment, yeah.
You know? But I'm glad you don't worry. I
a
worry
little bit,
about
but
that.
not nowhere near to the degree that I used to.
That's good.
You know what helps me not worry? I'll be honest. My Buddhist practice helps me not to worry. A lot.
Hey, listen, I think it's fantastic. I wish I could worry less. You know? Like I said, I used to worry about, well, when the show's over, what am I going to do? Oh, that show ended. And then I had the show with Discovery, that ended, and the one on ABC Family. Oh, no, what the fuck? How are you going to pay? I used to do that.
Yeah, me too.
Now I don't do that at all.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I'm okay. Whatever happens, happens. And what could you do? You know, I mean, you know, don't worry about shit you have no control over. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You know.
If you can do something about it, do it. And if you can't, then why worry? If it's
We're at Marie's house, Vito's wife. Patty and Phil are next to Marie. Marie's just heartbroken.
Marie's heartbroken, and what's her name? Geraldine? Patty is just evil. Says it might not have been a gay thing, and she says they pick up strangers and have sex with them. And then is that Vito's father watching TV?
I don't know if it's his father. No.
And there's a muscle contest, and Phil just freaks him out.
Yeah. Phil tells him to shut the TV off. It's a sin after all, Marie. The church is very clear on that. Father always says, hate the sin, love the sinner. I wish I was
she
there.
just starts with her religious.
Wasn't he, Phil? She wants a little assurance. She's heartbroken.
He was a good man. I loved him like a brother-in-law. And Patty's just spewing her religious bullshit.
And Lizzie Bracco is great. She's been great. She was great on the show.
Really good. Very subtle and honest.
Just right on the money. And Phil, great line. He was a good man, wasn't he, Phil? I loved him like a brother-in-law.
Right.
But God moves in strange ways. And I got to think, Marie, Vito on some level, maybe it's better for the kids not to have that role.
This is the guy who brutally murdered him, saying he's going to handle the funeral arrangements. I mean, it's just...
Yeah. Saying I love him like a brother-in-law. I don't love my brother-in-laws. I despise both of them.
Yeah.
Despise them. They're as evil as Patty, as far as I'm concerned.
Really?
He says, I'll take care of it. Let's have a private ceremony. Just the family. He wants to keep things down low. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Patty's crazy. She starts crying about a 47-year-old, the tailor. He's going blind.
He's a psycho.
Yeah.
She's a psycho.
I'm not down with that. Melfi's office. Is there anything you want to discuss? How about the fact that I hate my son? I mean, he says it out loud. I come home and he's sitting on the computer in his fucking underwear, wasting his time in some chit-chat room, going back and forth with some other jerk-off, giggling like a schoolgirl.
Yeah, it was just exactly what he didn't want to see.
I want to smash his fucking face in. This is a great scene.
Really good scene. She says, well, your anger's been turning towards AJ. It's been building. Anger toward AJ has been building for some time. He said, my father would find it hilarious because his own son turned into not what his ideal of a man is. Carmela didn't let me kick his ass, which is a lie. He just never wanted to. He spoiled him as much as Carmela did. That's a big lie.
How could he kick his ass like he says he's so little? I mean, if he smacked...
Not even kicking ass. He was not strict with AJ for the most part.
No. AJ's a spoiled, smart aleck. He knows they're not going to do anything.
No,
We'll see a little different later because up to now they've done nothing.
he's used to it.
Threatened, empty threats, all empty threats,
She says, what is it you want from life? He doesn't even know. What do you want from life?
Does anyone know?
Do you know? What do you want?
I have no idea, and it's almost over.
No, it's not.
It's almost over for me, and I still
lived
don't
to
know.
110, another 50 years.
Not a fucking chance on this earth. What do I want? I want my kids and wife to be safe and happy. And
There you go. Well, that's specific.
Be good people. When I was
Want
raising
a sandwich? What did you say once? I asked you. You said, I want a sandwich.
couple drinks, couple good friends, a good sandwich. That's it. I'm simple. Watch the Knicks, watch the Yankees. That's all.
Simple Man. That was the song Leonard Skinner played.
Very simple. No fucking big to do. I can't get deep. I don't know. That's it.
And he says, I couldn't hit him. Carmela's family's small. Hugh, you could knock him over with a feather. And she brings up, no, you wish, you talk about Carmela protecting your son. You wish your mother protected you against the brutality of your own father. He doesn't really want to hear any of this shit.
Well, he he goes to see Melfi and he wants answers. And he's been there for, 5 years, and he's not getting answers.
He wants practical advice. Do this.
Not giving it to him.
But he also hasn't been that willing to change a lot of stuff.
The people ask for advice, and people will ask you for advice, and very rare that they use it.
So they take it, no.
Paris restaurant, Carmela Rosalie eat.
That's Le Grand Verfort, very famous restaurant, still open, still in business. They're
Looks
having
like a very nice place.
beautiful, very expensive. They're having foie gras, which is, that's
eating it?
illegal in a lot of places here in the States. You know why, right?
They stuffed the
They
goo.
put a funnel down the throat of a goose, I guess,
Yeah.
duck, and they force feed it because they'll just keep eating. That's just some basic instinct they have, and they force feed it grain. So their liver gets enlarged because it's basically sick. And that enlarged liver is a delicacy. Very cruel method of raising
absolutely,
it.
positively. It should be, illegal. Very weird. Carmela brings up Jackie Jr. Very bad timing.
Horrible.
I don't know. What is Carmela thinking about here?
She says, well, when you come to a foreign country, it's all, until you saw the people here, it's almost like they never existed or you never existed to them. Talking about when you die, life goes on without you. I guess he's trying to get close to her, but it's a really self-centered.
They're on vacation. They're having a beautiful dinner. They've had a nice time. We're on vacation. It's their last night. And you're bringing this up? Doesn't make any sense.
And Rosalie doesn't want to hear it.
Well, why? What's there to hear? You want to have this discussion now? She's going to meet the guy later. She said, you're welcome to come. I mean, I don't know this. She apologizes profusely, but what are you thinking about?
There's a selfishness to her, a self-centeredness, and not taking not being empathetic to Rosalie.
Absolutely.
Another cut contrasting the two places, Paris and New Jersey, cut from this gourmet meal, probably one of the best restaurants in the world, maybe, cut to Carlo cooking some sauce in the pork store. And Silvio talking about rat turds. We got to get the
rat turds. He's vacuuming. What's that? A
dustbuster?
Dust
devil? Yeah.
And Fat Dom comes in, being a smart ass, right from the beginning. He walks in, and he's, I'm sorry to hear about your boy, the pool cue. I wonder if it was chalk. The autopsy found the 3-ball in the side pocket. He comes in, he's joking, gives Silvio the envelope. Carlo's making linguine fra diavolo. And he's mocking them, kind of rubbing it in their face.
He says the hanky in his pocket had Carlo's lipstick. That's a bad thing to say.
He's Carlos looking at him like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's just on a roll. You know, he talks about the actor, Raymond Navarro.
Raymond Navarro was a silent film star, contemporary, and I think friend of Rudolph Valentino. He's Mexican, born in Mexico. At 69 years old, he was in the original Ben-Hur, not the Charlton Heston, the original, the silent version. He was an MGM star in the silent film era, but he picked up two brothers, and I think it was like he was paying them for sex, or he was going to. They were there, I think, to rip him off. They all got drunk. They brutally beat this guy. The rumor was he had an ivory dildo inserted in his throat or in his rectum or something. I heard it was lead. I heard it was jeweled. I heard it was gold. Apparently it was not, he was beaten to death and they found it on the nightstand or found it in the drawer. It was not, I don't think that's true.
Gotcha.
But it was apparently given to him by Valentino. That was the story.
Oh, really?
He was not from New Jersey. I don't know why I think he just says that to fuck with him.
So he's way out of line. Then he says the magic word, my mistake. Carlos' lipstick was on Vito's cock. Silvio hits Dom in the back of the head with the dustbuster. Right? Carlos stabs him and stabs him. And Silvio's saying, Carlo, no. He knows.
He just wants to give him a beating.
Give him a beating and send him on his way. But Carlo just goes right after it. It's a great shot from overhead. He falls into a tray of meatballs. And
Arthur told me that he practiced this in his kitchen with the knife. It's like, he's mimicking a bullfighter saying, ole, ole. And he did this. He said he worked very hard on getting this right, worked alone in his kitchen practicing this stabbing.
Alton Ascarello, who plays Carlo.
Yeah.
And then here comes, so they're cleaned up.
Well, he says, if the phone rings, that Mozart for Elise rings on the phone, we can't cut him up in the store. We can't do that anymore because of the DNA. He says, get some Biangaline, which is bleach. But it's a regionalism among Italian Americans. It's Biangaline is bleach. And then there's a time cut. They're playing cards. They're cleaned up and they're eating They just finished eating pasta.
Yeah, they don't care. These guys are something, boy. I tell you. I guess once you've killed so many people and stabbed them and see the blood, I guess it doesn't bother you anymore.
Do what's necessary.
And Tony comes to the door. He tells him to leave. You don't want to see this. Tony comes in. He doesn't touch anything. He turns around, leaves. Silvio follows him out.
Carlos says Sil hit him first, like they liked with the kids.
And Vito, he says his goddamn Vito. Look at all the trouble Vito's caused.
A lot of trouble. He's right.
Perry drives Tony. Tony does his phone.
I don't know if he's calling home or if AJ doesn't answer or what that is.
I think that's what it is. AJ doesn't answer. He gets home. AJ, Hernan, and
Rhiannon, they're doing Jägermeister shots,
playing video games. They're there. What's the hardest thing about skateboarding? Telling your parents you're gay. I don't even get that reference or joke. He's a real sleazy fuck, Hernan.
Hernan's sleazy and very arrogant and full of himself.
Absolutely. He's got money. I guess he comes from money. Tony arrives. He says, come on, let me talk to you in the garage. Gives him the number. Tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock, you go to this address. You're going to be working construction, ferrying cement. He says, where? Outside?
Right.
He says, oh, this is bullshit. He's got a smirk on his face.
And he's like, I'm going to leave your friend in the lurch when I go back to school. He says, that's okay. We'll deal with that.
He says, I'm telling you, you don't have to pay us rent. It's a union job. It pays good money. He says, I'm going to take away your car. I'm going to take away your clothes. Pretty soon you're going to be on the street. And he's smirking like, yeah. That's basically what AJ's saying.
No respect. And then Tony smashes his windshield with a helmet.
And he says, don't put me to the test. I don't know if he got through to him, but he did, I guess, to a degree. Smashes the car. He says, you don't even take care of it. And when he says, it's a really good scene. And when he says that it'll turn into Brillo pads, the car, I believe him.
He's fed up. He's had enough by then.
They're sitting on the couch like smart Alex, getting high, getting drunk, Paris Square, Adriana walks with Cosette, the dog Christopher killed. Carmela looks at her for a second there. I think that you think maybe she ran off to Paris.
The second there, you think that. That's the Jardin du Palais Royal Palace Gardens. Yeah, Cosette's there. Adriana's there. The guy says somebody needs to tell her that she's dead.
Carmela wakes up from the dream. Second time Carmela dreamt of her. She dreamt of her last time in the spec house. And there was theories that she wasn't really dead.
Right.
And
because you don't see her killed.
And when the audience sees her, for the split second, I'm sure a lot of the audience said, wow, she's not dead. This is, and it goes away quick. Phil's bedroom. Patty sleeps. Now Phil's lying awake. Is he lying awake because of the Vito thing, your theory?
He misses his lover. Yeah.
Or misses his lover, or just the whole thing? Will it come crashing down? Has Vito ever told anyone, if this theory is true?
Maybe, or maybe it's just him.
He's got problems.
The evil, evil just.
That Dom is missing. There's problems, and he knows it. Paris Hotel, Carmela and Rosalie leave the hotel. Rosalie forgets something, goes back inside. And listen,
placemats. Again, that's kind of a thing about, the contrast between, this artists, works of art. Now she's getting placemats made by this artist. It's just,
And Carmela loves it here. It's an escape from the kids. Tony, New Jersey. She could be a different person here. It's a different world, different life.
The Eiffel Tower with the beacon is very reminiscent of the coma dream. Tony looking out the window in the hotel and that beacon that he sees, that light. I think there's definitely a connection they're making there about that.
Soprano house, Carmela arrives, bring the bags in. There she is, the world traveler. How was your trip? Oh my God, Tony. Rosalie's mother's house. Oh my God, Ma, Paris. She's her mother. Vito's kids are in the room.
Horrible, so tragic scene.
Very sad.
Rough scene to watch. They're reading.
Both kids are cute kids. It's very sad.
Son's reading of his father's murder and about his homosexuality, and the daughter doesn't understand, so she's not a spy. She can't imagine even her father lying to her, and this is overwhelming for a kid. And we see later on, it's messed the kids, especially Vito Jr. It's really messed him up.
She's, they read it, and relatives say that the victim had surprised his friends and family by declaring himself a homosexual, saying he wished to lead an openly gay lifestyle.
And how did this all come out? A cop spoke about it, right? That's it.
And, cop, maybe Phil put it in there. Phil wanted to keep it on the down low, though, so I don't know. Somebody wanted to embarrass them,
Somebody wanted to embarrass them, yeah.
That's for sure. Soprano house, AJ's getting ready for work. Carmela comes downstairs with this jet lag. I can't sleep. Have a great day at work. Carmela's in the basement doing laundry. Same old stuff. She was in Paris yesterday. Now she's doing their laundry.
Back to the regularness of life, right? As they say.
Photographer's studio. He's reading the newspaper. Hey, I knew this guy. He was in the mob. I shot him for the Thin Club.
That actor's name was Clyde Baldo, who actually passed away December last year. He plays this photographer in the scene here. I shot him for the Thin Club. There's a picture of Vito, lost the weight. He's very happy.
He's got the old giant pair of pants.
And he's gone. The song is Home by Persephone's Bees. Home, referring, coming home. I think there's definitely making points about home, domestic life. And then it segues into as time goes by from the movie Casablanca, which the famous line, we'll always have Paris.
It's sad. Vito's saga is sad.
Very sad. Yeah.
Sad for his family. Sad for his loyal wife. Good episode. Very good episode.
Yeah, I like it a lot. A lot of good stuff in there.
And now it's time for the Talking Sopranos Ask Me Anything segment. The winner of our AMA Best Question, Lauren from South Boston, Mass. And we're sending Lauren a pair of Bose headphones.
Lauren asks, besides obviously being on the show, what do you guys have in common? What led you guys to become such good friends? Well, they already know what led us to not be friends, which is doing this podcast.
We have nothing in common. Nothing whatsoever.
We have nothing in common.
I don't even know why we're friends. We have absolutely
We
nothing.
like the Knicks. We like Van Morrison.
We like the Yankees.
The Rangers.
The Rangers.
Jets? No, you're a Giants guy.
I'm not even a
You're
football.
not into football.
We don't eat the same food.
You like Italian food. I like Italian
Yeah.
food. We like certain restaurants like Tribeca Grill and Harvest Kitchen and Layla, Il Cortile, Forlini's. We like a lot of
We like
some.
a lot of the same restaurants.
You know,
We went out a lot. We used to go out a lot,
we
right?
used to go out a lot.
And I call you if I need advice, vice versa. There's no bullshit from you, no bullshit from me. You tell me something, it's the truth. We've worked together quite a bit. You directed me in the movie that you wrote.
You wrote me in your movie.
You did Secret Life. Yeah, you were in my movie. We did Secret Life. You did an episode, Blue Bloods. Sometimes,
And it was
opposites attract. How's that?
opposites attract. But there was a lot of camaraderie. We spoke about it on the show, and a lot of us were going out. And
We went out, we hung out, we've had many, many dinners. We still travel together constantly. We went to Australia together, on and on and on and on.
we had a lot of laughs. And
I think we're both a lot of laughs. Met a lot of wacky people along the way that makes us laugh. I
yeah,
think we're both honest, good guys.
we had fun traveling with the other people in the cast. When we were with
A lot of fun.
Stevie and Jim, we went to Chicago and Tahoe.
Oh,
Was Sariko with us on that?
nope.
It was
Just
the
a
four of
four.
us. That was a fun trip.
A lot of fun. Stevie Van Zandt playing the guitar and Buddy Guys. Impromptu, which you never saw. It was almost hard to believe. Remember that? They called him up on stage and he played with the band, gave them some instructions, and he played a Buddy
He went
Guy.
off and
It was incredible. It was like one of those moments where you go, I can't believe I'm seeing this.
Yeah.
Stevie doesn't do that.
He never does that, and he at first he didn't want to go. He didn't want to like take center stage away from these musicians, but they really wanted him up there, and he went up and he killed it. It was
Great. Crowd went crazy. Oh, we've had so many laughs. We've met so many crazy people. We did a movie Stewie together, and on and on.
Right.
And as we come down to the wire here, just a couple more months, got some great guests coming up though.
We got great guests, but listen, they wanted us to do this podcast because they knew we were friends. They knew we had done the shows live. Out of all the people who were, from the cast, we were kind of the most, I think, situated to do this podcast. Little did we know what it would lead to, but
And we're friends with most of the cast.
we're friends with most of the cast.
A lot
Not
of people
all the
go
cast,
their
most
separate
of
way, but
Not all of it, most of it.
What's that?
Not all of the cast, but most of the cast.
Most of the cast.
And now we have Woke Up This Morning is going to be released November 2nd. We mentioned it. I'm going to mention it again because I'm proud of it. I think it's great. It is an oral history. It is the oral history of The Sopranos. If you want to know what happened making The Sopranos from the people who were there, get this book. It's as in-depth as anything.
500 something pages. I do the audio book tomorrow. I record.
Oh, you're going in tomorrow. Let me know how it goes.
Yeah. And November 2nd, you can pre-order it wherever you get your book. So do that. Thanks for listening. Remember, new episodes are released every Monday. Please subscribe to the Talking Sopranos podcast on YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Like us on Facebook. And right now, your official Talking Sopranos merchandise on TalkingSopranos.com. It's not going to be around forever.
No, it's not.
I want to get this before it ends, and no matter what happens from here, it's been a hell of a run and a lot of fun, and I hope we put a smile on your face, and you can get it merchandise on our YouTube channel also.
I mean, are you going to reveal anything like towards the end of this? Is there anything you're going to come out and say, or make a statement, a declaration, or anything? Or?
I think I've said it all. I just told you that I wipe my ass with baby wipes.
There's nothing you're holding back for the end or something.
Maybe, you never know.
Something to say that you've always wanted to say.
Oh, you never know.
Besides the Motherfucks the World video, which
you never know. But I do know we have some great guests coming. We got David Chase again, Stevie Van Zandt again, Jamie Lynn Sigler.
The cast of the Many Saints of Newark. We're going to do a special Many Saints of Newark episode.
Michael Gandolfini,
Alessandro, Corey Stoll. Yeah, we got some really good stuff coming up.
We got John Ventimiglia. So we're gonna go out with a bang, as they say.
Our executive producer is Jeff Sussman. Producer is Andy Verderam. Our music was composed and performed by Elijah Amerton. You can hear more of Elijah's music and the band Zopa, which Elijah and I play in together by clicking the links on TalkingSopranos.com. Our production crew includes Ty Verderam and Sierra Schirripa. Come see us, our band Zopa, at Crossroads in Garwood, New Jersey. Home Turf, New Jersey. Go to Crossroads, New Jersey website for tickets or Eventbrite. Production crew includes Ty Verderam and Sierra Schirripa. Talking Sopranos is a Pod Jams production.
All right, man. Another good one.
See you next week.
Enjoyed our guests, and moving on, brother.